Chapter 193. Your Majesty, why do you care who I wear my clothes for? Because this kind of cloth is most suitable to be made into close-fitting clothes. Naturally, it can only be shown to me, Shang Junlin answered seriously. Shen Yu pinched his arm. Your Majesty, why don't you ask the clothing bureau to make it for you? You reminded me. When the time comes, I will ask the clothing bureau to make a set for me and you to wear it together. Your Majesty also wears red. Shen Yu raised his head and looked at Shang Junlin. He rarely saw Shang Junlin wearing any color other than black. In fact, Shang Junlin was very suitable for black. The man was tall and had a cold face. When he wore a black imperial robe, he had an oppressive aura. Shen Yu liked Shang Junlin very much. However, this didn't prevent him from wanting to see Shang Junlin wearing other colors. Different colors gave people different feelings. Shen Yu imagined Shang Junlin wearing a red robe. It would definitely bring a different sensory stimulation. You wants to see me wearing red? Shan Yu nodded. I allow it. Shan Yu was stunned for a moment. Then he realized that Shang Junlin was talking about wearing a red robe. Commoners all wear red when they get married. It's normal for you to like it. Your Majesty, why did you suddenly mention this? I just thought that Your Majesty would definitely look good in red. What does it have to do with commoners getting married? Shang Junlin smiled but didn't say anything. Shan Yu raised his hand. Speaking of which, on the day I entered the palace, Your Majesty also wore a black robe. Shang Junlin grabbed his hand and kissed it. Yes, most of the imperial robes are black. The details are slightly different. On that day, the robes were embroidered with red and gold threads. At that time, Shan Yu had just entered the palace, so he didn't pay attention to these things. Later, because he fainted, he didn't pay attention to these things. Thinking of this, he opened his mouth and asked, When I entered the palace, I suddenly fainted. Was it related to the person who arranged this assassination? It had been a year since the incident. Shang Junlin didn't talk about it, and Shan Yu didn't ask about it either. It wasn't until later that he encountered a similar incident in the Zongqi mountain. I originally thought that they were targeting you because of me. Now, it seems like that's not the case. No, I should say that it's not completely the case. I've already investigated the person who did it that day. According to the confession, the person who's more suspicious is the person standing behind King Yu. However, I can't rule out the possibility that what you said is true. Shang Junlin's memory of that night was especially vivid. After changing more than half of the palace staff in Yuzhong Palace, the same thing never happened again. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Unless they can predict the future and predict that I'll enter the palace and set up an ambush early in the palace. The palace is not like other places. If they set up an ambush at the last minute, it will definitely attract the attention of others. Shen Yu denied this conjecture. The person behind King Yu has been caught. I've handed the person over to Feng Jun. In a few days, there should be a result. This year's New Year is really chaos. Not only did the ministers not enjoy the New Year's holiday that they should have, but they were also busy every day because of various things. Among them, the 3 cabinet ministers were the most mentally and physically exhausted. Needless to say, the Prime Minister and Feng Jun, Shang Junlin would hand over everything to them. The other cabinet minister, who was born in an aristocratic family, also needed to be busy with various things. Almost everything that happened in the imperial court had to go through the cabinet ministers, including King Yu's rebellion and the palace banquet assassination. Although Shang Junlin had handed the matter over to the Prime Minister and Feng Jun, it did not mean that Duan Daren could completely stay out of it. What should be understood and what should be followed up, nothing could be left behind. Because these two matters involved too much, the aristocratic family officials and the humble family officials had to put down their grudges and deal with this matter together first. Political fights were fine, but after these troubles were solved, they would stop fighting. Without the upper-level officials who were in cahoots with the northern desert people, the atmosphere in the officialdom changed. Although there were some small conflicts, the overall atmosphere was still very harmonious. He Changyu, Feng Jiayi, and the others quickly gained a foothold in the northern desert. Jiang Huaiqing should have been like them, shining in the northern desert. However, the emperor gave a secret order, so he had to change his appearance, hide his identity, and go to the northern desert. Other than He Chengyu, no one else knew about this for the time being. The assassination had not yet spread to the northern desert, but the news of the King of Yu's rebellion had already spread throughout the Great Huan. The movements of the imperial court were too big, so it was hard not to know. Especially after the King of Yu and the people behind him were arrested, the imperial court had no more misgivings. They issued orders everywhere to encircle and annihilate the remnants of the rebels. If they encountered them, they could be executed on the spot. There were also remnants of these people in the Subei army. He Chengyu had borrowed a small group of soldiers from the Subei army to begin a search in the territory of the Subei army. Under his and Jiang Huaiqing's cooperation, they had successfully dealt with quite a few of the forces that the imperial court had ordered to exterminate. Sometimes, He Chengyu and Jiang Huaiqing would work together with the Northern Desert Army. The Northern Desert officials were used to the two of them disappearing together and reappearing together a few days later. They thought that the two of them were trying to accumulate more merits, so the officials who were on good terms with the two of them often teased them. But no one knew that their true goal was to make Jiang Huaiqing disappear from the public eye for a while. Jiang Huaiqing hadn't been in the Northern Desert for long and hadn't done anything particularly eye-catching. Others might not have paid much attention to his sudden disappearance, but the officials who had come with him were different, especially those who had a certain degree of friendship with him. Jiang Huaiqing's departure this time wasn't just a day or two. It was easy to cover up for a short period of time, but it was easy to raise suspicions if it took too long. Thus, they arranged a play where one person was seriously injured and one person substituted for the other. As usual, He Chengyu and Jiang Huaiqing led the Northern Desert Army together. Less than 2 days later, He Chengyu appeared at the entrance of the yamen, carrying the bloodied Jiang Huaiqing. "What's going on?" The young official who had just been demoted didn't have time to think. He hurriedly called for people to come forward and help Jiang Huaiqing out of He Chengyu's arms. Several people helped He Chengyu into the yamen. "Quickly call a doctor." After a busy period, the two were settled down. The officials also learned the whole story from He Chengyu, who was still conscious. They had misjudged and were injured by the traitors. He Chengyu's injury was relatively light, so it didn't affect his work after being bandaged. Jiang Huaiqing's injury was more serious. After the doctor examined him, he was still unconscious. "Huaiqing was injured so badly because he took a hit from me." This was the first time the usually steady person had shown a side of panic. The officials who were familiar with them were very uncomfortable. "Zhang Daren is blessed by the heavens. Nothing will happen to him. Yes, we'll invite the best doctor in the Northern Desert. If it really doesn't work, we'll submit a memorial and ask His Majesty to send an imperial physician. Don't worry too much. Nothing will happen. You're also injured. Take care of yourself." "I know." He Chengyu wiped his face. The man who had always cared about his image couldn't hide his disappointment. "Since Huaiqing was injured because of me, I should take good care of him before he recovers. I'll bring him to my fu and take care of him until he recovers." Everyone knew that he had a good relationship with Jiang Huaiqing. After something like this happened, he must be upset. Seeing that he wanted to bring Jiang Huaiqing back to his fu, they didn't dissuade him. What's more, he was willing. What was the use of dissuading him? It would be annoying for no reason. Like this, He Chengyu brought Jiang Huaiqing back to his fu. Along with him was the doctor who treated Jiang Huaiqing. No one noticed that a few days later, an inconspicuous carriage drove out of the side door of He Fu. Inside the carriage was the heavily injured and unconscious Jiang Huaiqing. The carriage drove all the way to an inconspicuous residence outside the city and stopped. Jiang Huaiqing dismounted. Inside was the person who had been waiting for him for a long time. "Sir, the travel permit and the relevant documents have been prepared." Jiang Huaiqing changed his clothes and fixed his appearance. After half an hour, he looked at himself in the bronze mirror. It was both familiar and unfamiliar. "Your Excellency, when you reach the Northern Desert, you can take the token and go to this place." There will be people waiting for you there. If you need anything, you can send the people there. This is a map of the northern desert. We have marked the places with our people. Jiang Huiqing memorized the places marked on the map. When he set off, he didn't bring it with him. Some things were safer to keep in mind than to bring it with you. The news of the northern desert was sent back to the capital through the hidden dragon guards. Shen Yu also received news of the northern desert from Ying Hua. Who came up with this idea? First impressions are the strongest. Let others see that he was seriously injured. Then, in the name of recuperating, he lived in seclusion. This greatly reduced the possibility of suspicion. It was he Qingyu. He submitted a memorial to ask for forgiveness. Shang Junlin took out a memorial from a stack of memorials and handed it to Shen Yu. Jiang Huiqing told him about the plan. Shen Yu flipped open the memorial and skimmed through it. He didn't say it clearly, but Chengyu guessed it. That's right. I asked the hidden dragon guards to keep an eye on him. If he does anything. Shang Junlin's voice turned cold. Shan Yu didn't doubt that if Chengyu did something that he shouldn't do, Shang Junlin would directly order the hidden dragon guards to punish him. Shan Yu placed the memorial back on the table. He thought of something else and said, "Since your Majesty sent Jiang Huiqing to do this, you must have confirmed that there is no problem with Jiang Huiqing's identity. Your Majesty, can you tell me what you found out?" His background is very simple. It's no different from what we found out previously. If you insist on it, his teacher seems to have been an official in the imperial court. During the time of the previous emperor, the imperial court was very chaotic. There were many officials who resigned or were dismissed. For now, we can't confirm which kind of teacher his teacher was. Oh. Shen Yu lowered his eyes and pondered. Although Jiang Huiqing was his right-hand man in his previous life, Shen Yu didn't know much about his past. Shen Yu would never force others to talk about things that they didn't want to talk about. He wasn't that curious. He asked today because he wanted to take advantage of Shang Junlin's investigation. Speaking of this, we have found out the identity of the person behind Qingyu. Yu, why don't you make a guess? Shang Junlin held Shan Yu's wrist and pulled him to sit beside him. It must be related to the previous emperor. I'm not familiar with the officials during the previous emperor's reign. Your Majesty, if you ask me to guess, I really can't guess anything. It's Grand Tutor Zhang who was demoted by the previous emperor because of a small matter. I have suspected so many people, but I have never suspected him. Wasn't Grand Tutor Zhang killed during his demotion? Shen Yu was surprised. He had heard about this matter before. After Grand Tutor Zhang was killed, the previous emperor was very angry. It was rare for him to wake up from his absurdity. He reorganized the imperial court and imprisoned the officials who killed Grand Tutor Zhang because of personal grudges. This brought about a short period of peace in the imperial court. Now, I am very suspicious. Was the previous emperor really muddle-headed, or was he pretending to be muddle-headed? If he was really muddle-headed, why would he arrange such a meticulous backup plan? If he was faking it, what was his motive? Chapter 194. The late emperor had passed away, and everything that happened in the past had dissipated like smoke. It was very difficult to figure out this problem. After all, no one was the late emperor himself, so no one knew what he was thinking. Shang Junlin also knew that it was useless to think too much about this problem, so he quickly returned to the topic. This Grand Tutor Zhang, I have had contact with him before. He was a rare good official. When the late emperor was not so absurd, they had a harmonious relationship. Later, the late emperor believed in treacherous officials, and their relationship slowly drifted apart. I also remember that this Grand Tutor Zhang had a good reputation among the people. After he was killed by treacherous officials, many people spontaneously worshipped him. There was even a great scholar who wrote an article saying that the last light in the imperial court had been extinguished. This matter was widely discussed in the capital. Even Shen Yu, who lived deep in the marquis mansion, heard a thing or two. Later on, Shan Yu had his own power and roughly understood what happened in the imperial court. His memory of Grand Tutor Zheng was especially deep. Shang Junlin, if he didn't die at that time, then the authenticity of the murder has yet to be investigated. The late emperor did kill many people in the imperial court for him, including treacherous officials and some innocent people. Shen Yu, what about the dossier from that year? What was written on it? Shang Junlin, after Feng Jun found out the identity of the person behind the scenes, he immediately went to look at the dossier. The records were just like what I said before. Grand Tutor Zheng was already a dead man. Shen Yu, no wonder we couldn't find him before. A dead person naturally wouldn't be placed on the list of suspects. When Grand Tutor Zheng died, Your Majesty had already stood out in the imperial court. Could it be that the late emperor began to suspect him at that time? How did he know who would ascend the throne in the end? Shang Junlin, I spent most of my time at the border, so I didn't know much about the late emperor's thoughts. When the incident with Grand Tutor Zheng happened, I was far away at the border. When I came back, everything was already settled. As for the backup plans left behind by the late emperor, I didn't know about them at first. It was only after the assassination attempt that I slowly found out that the things the late emperor left behind were far more than I imagined. Shan Yu, according to what you said, if he wanted to appoint the Prince of Yu as the new monarch, he could have given the position of crown prince to him in advance. But he didn't. From beginning to end, Emperor Xian never agreed to appoint a crown prince. If there was another crown prince, it would be much more troublesome for Shang Junlin to inherit the throne. However, the previous emperor didn't. As the only legitimate son of the previous emperor, Shang Junlin naturally inherited the throne of the Great Huan dynasty. Not to mention, he also had outstanding military achievements and held most of the military power in the Great Huan dynasty. The other princes were no match for him. Moreover, Grand Tutor Zheng, why didn't Teacher Tan and the others know his true identity? Why was he never willing to show his true face in front of his subordinates? Because he couldn't. If a dead person reappeared in the world, it would definitely attract a lot of unnecessary trouble. How did Lord Feng find out his true identity? Also, he shouldn't have used his original appearance. Shen Yu asked. If Grand Tutor Zheng had used his original appearance, he should have been recognized when he was first caught. Although it had been more than 10 years since the incident, Grand Tutor Zheng had left a deep impression in the hearts of the people. When Lord Feng had just entered the imperial court, Grand Tutor Zheng was still active in the court. It was said that Lord Feng had almost entered Grand Tutor Zheng's tutelage. This matter was also a coincidence. It just so happened that on the day Feng Jun was interrogated, an imperial physician came to the prison to test medicine and saw traces of the medicine used on Grand Tutor Zheng's face. After his appearance recovered, Feng Jun recognized him at a glance. Didn't Lord Feng get a fright? No matter who saw a person who should have been dead for many years appear in front of them, it was impossible for them to remain calm. Yes, if it weren't for this incident, the true identity of the person behind the scenes wouldn't have been so easy to find out. After the true identity of the person behind the scenes was announced, the entire imperial court was shocked. Those who entered the imperial court as officials more or less knew a bit about the previous emperor's era, not to mention the shocking matter of Grand Tutor Zheng. What kind of person was Grand Tutor Zheng? He was a clear stream in the later years of the previous emperor's reign, a good official praised by countless scholars and literati. Now that they were told that Grand Tutor Zheng stood behind the King of Yu and helped him plot a rebellion, many people's first reaction was disbelief. Is there some kind of misunderstanding? Grand Tutor Zheng lived an honest life and worked hard for the Great Huan dynasty. After being demoted, he was killed by a traitor. Now, you're saying that he's not dead? Not only is he not dead, but he also committed serious crimes such as assassination and rebellion. I don't understand why. Why do you have so many whys? If you want to know, you can go to the Ministry of Justice's prison and ask him. Maybe you can get some useful information from him. The ministers of the imperial court, including Feng Jun, were all deeply puzzled. Unlike the others, Feng Jun could ask the person in question face to face. In the Ministry of Justice's prison, Grand Tutor Zheng was tied to a pillar. Feng Jun sat across from him, his mood complicated. He had once envied Grand Tutor Zheng's character, fantasizing that if Grand Tutor Zheng hadn't been killed by a traitor, the turmoil in the Great Huan dynasty would have been reduced. Now, this person had really appeared in front of him again, but in such a way. Grand Tutor, why are you doing this? Feng Jun used the previous address. Grand Tutor. Grand Tutor Zheng was in a daze. It's been a long time since someone called me that. Why are you doing this? I'm just following orders. Whose orders? Feng Jun frowned. Other than the previous emperor, who else could it be? Grand Tutor Zheng laughed softly, his voice hoarse. Was it the previous emperor who asked you to overturn the Great Huan dynasty? Why would he do this? Feng Jun didn't understand. Who knows? He's the ruler and I'm the subject. I have to obey his orders, don't I? Just like right now, no matter what Shang Junlin wants you to do, no matter how outrageous it is, you can only do it. Grand Tutor Zheng's expression was strange, as if he was laughing, but also as if he was mocking something. Feng Jun's expression turned serious. His Majesty is His Majesty. He wouldn't do anything to harm the Great Huan dynasty. Right now, this official is interrogating you. Don't involve other places. What orders did the previous emperor give you? Don't you already know? To help the king of you ascend the throne. Grand Tutor Zheng's mocking smile widened. Why does official Feng keep asking? I already told you, but you don't believe me. Then tell me, what crime does your emperor want to accuse me of? What do you want me to confess? Feng Jun wasn't angered, his voice still calm. Is the He family also your people? You mean the He family that was stupid enough to send their entire family to prison? Grand Tutor Zheng sneered. Just a stupid dog. Why did they attack Guijun? Feng Jun glanced at him without emotion. Don't tell me this was also the previous emperor's order. You've already said everything. What else does official Feng want me to say? This interrogation seemed to have yielded a lot of information, but in reality, there was very little that was useful. After sorting out the confession and the interrogation process, Feng Jun sent it to the Imperial Palace. Imperial Study. Feng Jun knelt on the ground. Eunuch Meng took the confession from his hands and handed it to Shang Junlin with both hands. Shang Junlin picked up the confession, opened it, and read 10 lines at a glance. His eyes darkened slightly. Make arrangements, Zhan wants to see him. Your Majesty? Feng Jun raised his head in surprise. Shang Junlin rubbed the confession in his hands, his voice without the slightest trace of emotion. There are some things that Zhan wants to confirm personally. Feng Jun knew that once Shang Junlin made up his mind, he would not be swayed by others, so he swallowed the words of dissuasion that were on the tip of his tongue. This subject obeys. Feng Jun went to the Ministry of Justice in advance to make arrangements. The Minister of Justice walked beside him and was quite puzzled. Why does your Majesty suddenly want to come? How can we, as subjects, interfere with what your Majesty wants to do? Feng Jun did not turn his head and continued to make arrangements. No, the Minister of Justice's tone was anxious. This person planned and tried to rebel. If this lowly official is saying if something happens to your Majesty, can you and I bear the responsibility? Therefore, we have to make arrangements in advance and nip all possible dangers in the bud. Don't you think that if His Majesty does not come, all the dangers can be nipped at the source? The Minister of Justice said faintly. Feng Jun stopped. Then you will send a memorial to persuade His Majesty? Forget it. Let's make arrangements. The Minister of Justice wiped his face and joined Feng Jun's action. The Ministry of Justice was busy because they would soon welcome the Emperor. I always feel that there is something neglected in this matter. I plan to meet Grand Tutor Zheng in person. In Yuzhong Palace, Shang Junlin told Shen Yu about his plan. Prince Yu is also locked up in the Ministry of Justice, right? Shen Yu poured a cup of tea for Shang Junlin. Your Majesty, try it. It's new tea that was just delivered. Shang Junlin took the teacup and took a sip. Yes, why is you suddenly asking about him? The person behind the scenes has been caught. Shouldn't your Majesty deal with Prince Yu? Shen Yu's hand that was holding the teacup tightened. Yes, he was kept to lure out the person behind the scenes. Now that the person has been caught, there is no need to keep him. Shang Junlin did not have any good impression of Prince Yu. After listening to Shang Junlin's words, Shan Yu fell silent. Noticing his strangeness, Shang Junlin put down the teacup, lifted Shan Yu's chin, and said in a dangerous voice, "Are you not happy?" Shan Yu shook his head. "I always feel that things are going too smoothly." After going through so much trouble to catch the person, it was not smooth. Shan Yu also knew this, but he was a little uneasy. "Don't think too much. I won't let him escape again." Shang Junlin let go of his hand and stood up. "I heard from the Ministry of Justice that Shang Junyue's situation is not good now. If you is really concerned, then go with me." "When does your Majesty plan to go?" "In 2 days." Shen Yu stood up and walked to Shang Junlin's side. "Does Prince Yu know that the person supporting him is Grand Tutor Zheng?" Shang Junlin: "It seems that he doesn't know. He only knows that the former emperor left him a lot of things. But so far, only a small part of these things has reached his hands." According to his confession, he was forced to revolt this time. Among the troops that were wiped out, less than 10% listened to his orders. Chan Yu: "From the looks of it, rather than saying that the King of Yu is rebelling, it's better to say that the person behind the King of Yu is using his name to raise an army. If that's the case, Grand Tutor Zheng's true purpose is open for discussion. Is he really doing all this just to send the King of Yu to the throne? Definitely not. Shang Junlin would never easily believe a person's words. Perhaps in the past, he simply obeyed the orders of the late emperor and took the opportunity to assist the King of Yu in ascending the throne. However, after holding power for so many years, no one can guarantee that his thoughts haven't changed. Power was the thing that could change a person's mind the most. Chapter 195. Your Majesty, are you saying that Grand Tutor Zheng is disloyal? There is indeed such a possibility. If our conjecture is correct, the people left behind by the previous emperor are for Grand Tutor Zheng to order around. For a person who has always been in charge of his own affairs to suddenly hand over the power in his hands, he definitely wouldn't be so willing. Shan Yu thought of the mysterious force that appeared beside King Yu in his previous life. He used to think that the force helped King Yu because he saved young Master He. It seemed that he was wrong from the beginning. The force helped because Shang Junyue was King Yu. Young Master He was just an excuse to fool them and even King Yu. In his previous life, he had been by King Yu's side, dealing with all kinds of matters for him. He was sure that the mysterious faction had never revealed themselves, and the person behind the scenes had never appeared. Moreover, from King Yu's attitude, it was not hard to see that he was extremely respectful to that person, and there was even a trace of undetectable fear. Shan Yu felt that King Yu might not know who the real master of the mysterious force that helped him was until the end. If you want to confirm it, you will know when you see the person. Shang Junlin said lightly. The date of going to the Ministry of Justice was 3 days later. These days, Shan Yu had asked the people of Yinghua to pay attention to the movements of Count North's residents, especially Shan Qingran. As the protagonist of the story, Shan Yu would not take it lightly. There was nothing unusual in Count North's residence for the time being. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Shan Yu changed into casual clothes and got on the carriage to the Ministry of Justice with Shang Junlin. This trip was light and not many people knew about it. The Minister of Justice had prepared in advance. When they arrived, he directly led the carriage to the prison. Who's the person sitting in the carriage? Why is the minister personally leading the carriage? Under the eaves, several low-ranking officials saw this scene and were curious. No matter who it is, you and I can't casually talk about him. Shan Yu sat in the carriage. The Minister of Justice reported the progress of the case to Shang Junlin outside the carriage. Shang Junlin held Shan Yu's hand and whispered in his ear, "Today, I will vent your anger for you." What? Shan Yu did not react for a while. Will you be afraid? Shang Junlin did not answer Shan Yu's question. Shan Yu was even more confused. Afraid of what? Your Majesty is talking about what will happen later? Yes, Interrogation of the prisoner may be tortured. Your Majesty, do you think I'm such a coward? Shen Yu pressed his finger against the man's broad palm. Your Majesty, you don't have to worry about me. Shan Yu's heart. Shang Junlin's palm. Shen Yu's hand. Shen Yu's hand touched. Shen Yu's hand's palm's hand. Shen Yu's hand was itchy. He withdrew his hand. Your Majesty can do whatever you want. I didn't come with your Majesty to restrict your Majesty's actions. I know. No matter what happens later, you can't be afraid of me. Shang Junlin held Shen Yu's hand tightly. I won't. Not long after, the carriage stopped. As before, Shang Junlin got off the carriage first, followed by Shen Yu. Shang Junlin carried Shen Yu out. He ignored the Minister of Justice's stunned gaze and said, "Take me there." The Minister of Justice quickly restrained his expression. Yes. He knew that His Majesty would come, but he did not expect that His Majesty would bring His Majesty with him. When he saw Shan Yu coming out of the carriage, his first reaction was shock. Why did His Majesty bring His Majesty with him? At present, everyone in the court knew that the Emperor doted on His Majesty and discussed important matters of court with him. It wasn't that the officials didn't want to object, but Shan Yu had grasped the decree so well that they couldn't find a reasonable place to refute. If His Majesty brought His Majesty to other places, the Minister of Justice could understand. But why did His Majesty bring His Majesty to the prison of the Ministry of Justice? Suppressing the various thoughts in his heart, the Minister of Justice obediently led the way with his head lowered. He was just curious, but he did not dare to ask. The structure of the prison of the Ministry of Justice was different from that of the secret prison. The Minister of Justice led the two through the prison cells and came to the innermost part. The criminals who had committed capital crimes were locked up here. The jailers who guarded here were selected in advance. They knew Shang Junlin's identity and did not dare to neglect him. They took out the key to open the door and brought the prisoner to the interrogation room. Grand Tutor Zheng was tied up. Two jailers stood on either side of him. This was to prevent him from suddenly attacking people. There has been a lot of commotion in the prison these days. I was wondering what had happened. It turns out that His Majesty came personally. Grand Tutor Zheng raised his head and looked at the man sitting opposite him. Zhen didn't come here to reminisce about the past. I know, Grand Tutor Zheng nodded. His Majesty is very busy every day. It is not easy for him to take time out to see me. But, His Majesty can come alone. But why did His Majesty bring the person sleeping next to him? The prison is not like other places. It would be bad if he was frightened. The Minister of Justice stood respectfully behind Shang Junlin. When he heard this, he was about to scold him for being rude when he heard His Majesty speak. You know my identity? Grand Tutor Zhang snorted. Who doesn't know His Majesty Shan Gue Jun, who is the most favored in the harem? Shen Yu, it's good that you know. I don't have to introduce myself again. Since you know who I am, why don't you solve my doubts? Why did you attack me again and again? Grand Tutor Zheng, because His Majesty likes His Majesty. Shen Yu, is this also the late Emperor's intention? Grand Tutor Zheng, you can think of it that way. Shan Yu, since you are so obedient to the late Emperor, why didn't you hand over the power left by the late Emperor to the king of you? When the late Emperor chose you, did he think that a loyal dog would betray its master one day? His Majesty is really eloquent. Grand Tutor Zhang turned to look at Shang Junlin. His Majesty just let him climb over your head like this. There is no need for a prisoner like you to worry about the matters between Zhan and His Majesty. As long as His Majesty is happy, Zhan will let him do whatever he wants. Shang Junlin said indifferently. As long as His Majesty is happy. Seeing that his instigation was unsuccessful, Grand Tutor Zhang resentfully withdrew his gaze. He can't even protect himself. Why worry about other people's matters? The Minister of Justice couldn't help but whisper. Except for the beginning, Grand Tutor Zheng's attitude was still quite cooperative. He would answer all of Shang Junlin's questions. These were the results of Feng Jun's interrogation. Shang Junlin asked again to lower Grand Tutor Zheng's guard. He wanted him to think that this was all they wanted to know. In the end, Shang Junlin stood up. Zhen has always been curious. When the late emperor was alive, he didn't seem to care much about Shang Junyue. Why did he leave him so many things before his death? If he really wanted to make Shang Junyue the emperor, he could have made Shang Junyue the crown prince. Naturally, it's because the Prince of Yu is the late emperor's son. Grand Tutor Zheng answered without hesitation. The late emperor had so many princes. Why was the Prince of Yu the only exception? If Shenyu remembered correctly, other than Shang Junlin and Shang Junyue, there were other princes alive before the late emperor died. Shang Junlin only killed a few who were good at seizing power. He didn't touch those who weren't competitive or were too young. How can we, as subjects, guess the late emperor's thoughts? I was just following the late emperor's orders. Zhen will take it that you really don't know. Shang Junlin walked slowly to the rack where the instruments of torture were placed. He took a soft bone whip from the rack. Now, Zhen will ask you, were you the one who gave the order to harm the noble prince? Don't use the late emperor to fool Zhen. The late emperor is already dead. He couldn't have foreseen the noble prince's existence. Zhen will only ask, were you the one who gave the order? Yes. Grand Tutor Zhang closed his eyes in the face of the imposing man. Very good. As soon as he finished speaking, a sharp gust of wind swept past. Slap. The bone whip had barbs on it. With one lash, the skin and flesh were torn open. No one expected Shang Junlin to suddenly make a move. The Minister of Justice widened his eyes in shock as he looked at the man wielding the whip. Shen Yu suddenly remembered that on the way here, Shang Junlin had said that he would avenge him. The smell of blood spread. Big beads of sweat rolled down Grand Tutor Zheng's forehead. It was painful. 3 times. Zhen will remember them all. Shang Junlin's tone was cold. Grand Tutor Zheng, who was very close to Shang Junlin, could clearly feel the cold murderous intent from the man. It seemed that compared to the rebellion, Shang Junlin cared more about the fact that Shang Junlin had injured his noble prince. The bone spike was soaked in salt water. Under the piercing pain, all of his consciousness was used to resist the pain. After being locked up in prison, those people had tortured him many times in order to get useful information out of him. However, none of them had caused him to suffer as much pain as today. The wound was burning hot. Shang Junlin had used his skills and specifically chose the most painful place to strike. What he wanted was to make the other party feel unbearable pain. Your Majesty is really a sentimental person. Grand Tutor Zheng clenched his teeth. His voice trembled slightly. Zhen warned you before not to touch the noble prince. It seems that Grand Tutor Zheng didn't take it to heart. Grand Tutor Zheng thought of the miserable end of those people who had been arranged to deal with Shenyu and fell silent. Noble prince, this. Wasn't he here to interrogate about the rebellion? Why didn't His Majesty care about this important matter at all? The Minister of Justice couldn't help but ask in a low voice. Shan Yu was only shocked for a moment. When he heard the Minister of Justice's question, he got up and walked to Shang Junlin's side. He hooked his finger and said, Your Majesty. Shang Junlin threw away the bone whip in disgust and held Shan Yu's hand. His fingers were slightly cold. Shang Junlin turned his head and looked at Shen Yu for a while. When he saw that there was no fear on his face, he was slightly relieved. You were ordered by the late emperor to assist the king of Yu to ascend the throne. However, you, who had been in power for many years, changed your mind halfway. Instead of wholeheartedly serving the king of Yu, it's better to slightly change the situation. It's still you who helped the king of Yu to ascend the throne. However, the one who can really make the decision is you, who controls the forces left behind by the late emperor. Shen Yu's indifferent voice smashed into Grand Tutor Zheng's chest. Grand Tutor Zheng's mind was mostly occupied by the pain. He had no time to spare more energy to deal with Shen Yu's question. Yes, you're right. Obviously, those forces are in my hands. Why should I lower myself to the king of Yu? In fact, I don't mind telling you that the late emperor chose me to do this because he thought that I wouldn't be tempted by power. However, he never asked me if I was willing or not. I'm not willing. I have a bright future. Why should I be a dead person who can't see the light of day? Grand Tutor Zhang looked at Shang Junlin's face, which was somewhat similar to the late emperor's, and almost couldn't control his emotions. If you really didn't want to, you could have refused at that time. Shan Yu's tone was calm. He wasn't affected by Grand Tutor Zheng's attitude. It's useless. Like I said, the late emperor was the emperor, and I was the subject. If I didn't agree, then I would have really died. It's said that the late emperor was angry because of my death. How many people know that the person who was sent to kill me wasn't some treacherous subject, but the late emperor? The late emperor wanted his own bloodline to become the master of the great Huan country. I didn't want to. Unfortunately, he didn't completely let down his guard against me until he died. If not, why would I waste so much time on the king of you? Now that the forces under my command have been almost wiped out, and I'm locked up in prison, I know that I can't escape this disaster. Perhaps I shouldn't have chosen this path in the first place. It's better to die cleanly than to die now. Grand Tutor Zheng glanced at Shen Yu. The young man was dressed in white, and his temperament was like bamboo. Standing in the dark prison, he didn't fit in with his surroundings. He was just like the old him who was able to protect his own heart even when he was surrounded by treacherous people. Grand Tutor Zheng lowered his head and looked at Shen Yu. He remembered that he used to be high-spirited and vigorous. He was able to form his own faction in the materialistic officialdom. He wasn't affected by external factors, and his reputation spread far and wide. Who wouldn't praise him for his strength of character? In the end, he became the kind of person that he used to hate the most. Don't you want to know about the late emperor's other arrangements? I can tell you what I know. In exchange, I only ask one thing. The mistake I made was my own, and it has nothing to do with Grand Tutor Zheng. The dead shouldn't appear in this world again. Chapter 196. Right now, you are a prisoner. What qualifications do you think you have to make demands? Moreover, many people in the court already know your identity. No matter what your original intention was, the one who pushed you to this point was not others, but yourself. Shen Yu said. You are right. Grand Tutor Zheng froze, his momentum waning. It is nothing more than deceiving myself. The previous emperor left behind 500,000 soldiers and horses. I can only mobilize half of them. I don't know where the rest are. He also left behind a large amount of money and jewelry. I can only take 30% of it. Oh right, this batch of property includes a large number of armor left behind by the once invincible Lin family army. Grand Tutor Zheng explained a lot. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin stayed in the prison for more than 2 hours before leaving. Sitting in the carriage back to the palace, Shan Yu held a hand stove. Your Majesty, how much of Grand Tutor Zheng's words are true and how much is false? Shan Yu didn't think that Grand Tutor Zheng would reveal all the truth because of one caning. If it was really that simple, Fong Darren wouldn't have asked for so long without any useful information. No matter how much of it is true and how much of it is false, Zhan will send people to verify it one by one. Although he said the arrangements left behind by the previous emperor, he didn't say where these undiscovered arrangements are. Only he knows if he really doesn't know or if he deliberately doesn't say. Shan Yu nodded. Let Fong Darren continue to interrogate him. Maybe he can find something. Shan Yu originally wanted to take this opportunity to see the king of you, but he had been delayed at Grand Tutor Zheng's place for too long. The sky was almost dark. In addition, Shang Junlin didn't want him to see the king of you, so he didn't go. After returning to Yuzhong Palace, Eunuch Meng hurriedly ordered people to prepare hot water. Shan Yu took a comfortable bath and changed into clean clothes. Shang Junlin also changed into light clothes. If he didn't need to go to court, he wouldn't wear a complicated ceremonial robe. Instead, he preferred simple casual clothes. A man in a black wide-sleeved robe sat on the edge of a soft couch. In front of him was a small table with a thick stack of memorials. The man's back was straight as he wrote his comments. He was very fast and placed the booklets to the side. After a few books, Eunuch Meng would take them down and place them on the table on the other side. It was very warm in the bedroom. Shan Yu had just finished bathing and was wearing thin clothes. Hearing footsteps, Shang Junlin looked up. He put down his pen, picked up his cloak, and walked towards Shen Yu. "Why are you wearing so little?" "I'm not cold." Shan Yu raised his neck so that the man could tie the belt of his cloak for him. "Even if you're not cold, you can't wear such thin clothes." "Yes, Your Majesty." Shang Junlin nodded in satisfaction. Shen Yu was hugged by the man and sat down on the soft couch. She happened to see the half-approved memorials on the small table. They were presented by the officials of Lin County. After a year of hard work, the flood control in Lin County was very effective. This year's spring flood was the best time to check the results. After getting a used prescription, the people I sent to Lin County to control the flood were treated as if they had found a treasure. This year, they followed the contents of the prescription. Last year, several small floods were passed without any mishaps. Shang Junlin stroked Shan Yu's long hair on her back. "It's good that it's effective." Shan Yu's eyes curved. The reason why he took out these things was because they could be of use to De Huan. In the face of a natural disaster, human strength would always be insignificant. However, not all natural disasters could only make people helpless. Some could be prevented in advance to minimize the losses as much as possible. After the beginning of spring, the imperial court fell into a new round of busyness. The reform of the new commercial law was proposed at this time. Unsurprisingly, there were many objections in the imperial court. Any reform would have to go through this. Shen Yu accepted it well. Shang Junlin ignored the arguments in the imperial court for a few days and finally agreed to the reform proposed by the Minister of Revenue. "Your Majesty, you can't. Compared to the previous dynasty, De Huan already gives preferential treatment to merchants. We can't let them grow." The Minister of Revenue was dissatisfied. "Have you carefully read the proposal I proposed? If you have carefully read it, you will never say such a thing. If you want to object, I welcome it. However, the reason for your objection must be substantial. Don't just think about it." The official did not carefully read the new commercial law proposed by the Minister of Revenue. He was speechless by the Minister of Revenue's words. "Well, this matter will be handed over to the Minister of Revenue. Is there anything else to report?" Shang Junlin's attitude was very clear. Since this matter had been decided, there was no need to talk nonsense. The first thing to do in the new year was to change the law regarding merchants. In fact, there were not many changes. For example, the son of a merchant could not enter the imperial court as an official. However, there were some additions. For example, Yan Zheng's previous actions of sponsoring the Ministry of Works to build roads and merchants from all over Subei had been approved by the imperial court. The imperial court would give them preferential treatment based on their contributions. After an entire winter, the stone tablet engraved with the contributions of the donors was carved. In the future, it would be placed in the most conspicuous place in the capital. It would be protected by a fence so that the common people could go and see it. The People's Newspaper did a special report on this matter, including the change of the commercial law. The common people did not pay much attention to the latter. Their attention was focused on the former matter. The People's Newspaper said that the stone tablet has been engraved. It will be displayed on the auspicious day chosen by the imperial astronomer. I saw it too. There are only 10 days left. I must go and see it then. I donated a lot of things. Thinking that my name will be engraved by the imperial court, I am so excited. Yes, we are just common people. Who would have thought that there would be a day like this? For a time, the common people's hot topic changed to the stone tablet that was about to be completed. They followed the disaster in Subei. Seeing that Subei, which they had contributed money and effort to, become better and better after the disaster, everyone felt satisfied. Who didn't want to be rewarded for their efforts? Although the reward wasn't anything substantial, it could give people a great sense of satisfaction. Alright, Today is the day that the Jing and newspaper is published. Are you going to buy it? Of course, this newspaper is cheap. It even has a special section for literacy. Not to mention, I can barely understand some of it now. Me too. If you buy 10 copies of the newspaper, you can get a free literacy book. Including the one I buy tomorrow, I can get a book. My son is about to learn literacy. It will be useful. I never thought that I'd be literate one day. Maybe in the future, His Majesty will hold a big literacy program and every family will be literate. In the past, the common people didn't think much about literacy. Since the publication of the newspaper, they gradually felt the disadvantages of being illiterate. Now that there was a way to become literate and the price was not expensive, the common people who had some extra money were happy to learn. The Jing, a newspaper that the common people talked about, was a newspaper jointly published by Shan Yu's bookstore and the imperial court. It was cheap and published once every 10 days. Later, after discussion between Shan Yu and Shang Junlin, they opened a special section in the newspaper. It was not big, but it would put some basic words for the purchasers to learn. The aristocratic ministers were busy with various things in the imperial court and didn't notice the changes in the common people. When they found out, the foundation had already been laid. Even if they were dissatisfied, they couldn't do anything. King Yu was dreaming again. He knew that he was dreaming because the development in the dream was completely different from reality. In the dream, all his plans were carried out smoothly. Under his plan, Shang Junlin's reputation was getting worse and worse. The most important thing was that Shan Yu didn't enter the palace. The one who entered the palace was Shan Qingran, the son of a concubine of Count Zhenbei. From the beginning to the end, no one in the palace was conferred the title of nobility. In this dream, the person that Shan Yu fell in love with was him. The camp that he chose was also him. Shan Yu went back to his fief with him and took care of everything for him. Under the tyrannical rule of Shang Junlin, a steady stream of people came to seek refuge with him. They brought a lot of money and soldiers. In the dream, it was as if he had the help of God. Everything went smoothly. He saw Shang Junlin lose little by little. The imperial court's prestige collapsed, and his own power grew stronger and stronger. Time passed quickly in the dream. He saw a major flood in a neighboring county. He stepped forward bravely at the critical moment. He saw a plague break out in the south. He led people to get rid of the plague. The people gradually shifted to him. The northern bandits rebelled. Shang Junlin led troops to battle. He died in the last battle. Since then, the world was in chaos. He ascended the throne with the support of the people. Then he woke up from the dream. The night before his ascension, he was woken up by the jailer. For the next few days, he repeatedly had the same dream. Without exception, he woke up on the night before his ascension. At first, the dream was vague. Later, it became more and more real. It was so real that he couldn't help but wonder if things would develop like in his dream if Shan Yu didn't enter the palace. The jailer who was guarding King Yu realized that King Yu had started to speak nonsense. It was all disgraceful words. He did not dare to hide it and reported this matter. King Yu went crazy. People who don't know will think that we are abusing him. Shang Junlin listened to the report and sneered. Shan Yu sat on the side and fiddled with a chess record. The chess record was found in the imperial library. Seeing that Shan Yu was interested, Shang Junlin gave it to him. What did he do? Shan Yu put down the chess record and asked. Replying to Your Highness, the prisoner has been talking nonsense in the prison. He said. The Minister of Justice glanced at Shang Junlin and bravely continued that he is about to ascend the throne. Your Majesty, please forgive me. This subject is just repeating. We didn't do anything. Why are you so afraid? Shang Junlin was displeased. The Minister of Justice thought, you didn't do anything. But with the cold air around you, I would believe you if you said that you were going to drag me out and behead me. Tell me the details. Yes. Some time ago, King Yu's behavior was not quite right. The jailer didn't take it seriously. In recent days, the jailer found that he often talked nonsense. Something about the flood in Lin County, the plague in the south, the rebellion of the northern bandits. Finally, he said that he was the one who ended everything and that he should be the destined ruler of Dahuan. Shan Yu didn't take it seriously at first. The more he listened, the more he felt that something was wrong. A single incident could be a coincidence. What if everything was related to the previous life? His heart sank unconsciously. Was King Yu talking about the previous life? Was he also reborn? Your Highness, do you know why King Yu said such things? Shan Yu's hands slowly clenched by his side. It was because he was dreaming. I have confirmed that what King Yu said was in his dream. He seems to be unable to distinguish between dreams and reality. The Minister of Justice said. Did he dream of the previous life? Shan Yu fell silent. According to the Minister of Justice, he didn't seem to dream of the previous life. Otherwise, he wouldn't be immersed in the dream and not wake up. Should he tell him to turn the dream into a nightmare? Chapter 197. Shan Yu was thinking about something and didn't notice that the Minister of Justice had left under Shang Junlin's signal. He also didn't notice that Shang Junlin had walked to his side. What is you thinking about? Shang Junlin looked at Shan Yu, who had fallen into silence after listening to the Minister of Justice's words, and his expression was unclear. I'm thinking about what the Minister of Justice said. Is Prince Yu pretending to be crazy or acting dumb? Shan Yu came back from his thoughts. Shang Junlin, you thinks he's pretending? Shan Yu, what else could it be? Your Majesty once locked him up in the dark prison for so long, but nothing happened to him. How could he go crazy after just a few days in the Ministry of Justice's prison? Shang Junlin, Yu's words make sense. Shan Yu, whether he's really crazy or not, we'll know when we see him. Shang Junlin fell silent and looked at Shan Yu without saying anything. Your Majesty, why are you looking at me? Shan Yu opened his eyes wide with an innocent look on his face. Shang Junlin raised his hand to cover his eyes and said with an inexplicable emotion, So, Yu wants to see Prince Yu? I'm a little concerned about his dream. Shan Yu didn't deny it. I want to know what's going on. I remember that Yu also had a dream before. When he woke up and saw me, he was very scared. What did Yu dream about that day? Shang Junlin couldn't forget this matter because the emotions that appeared in Shan Yu's eyes that day were something he had never seen before. A person's eyes couldn't lie. If he was really afraid of someone, no matter how well he pretended, there would still be clues in his eyes. He was sure that Shan Yu wasn't afraid of him. When they first met, Shan Yu didn't show any fear in his eyes. Later, when they met day and night for a long time, he didn't see any fear in Shan Yu's eyes. No matter how good a person was at disguising himself, it was impossible for him to not leave behind any flaws for a long time. I had a bad dream. I didn't see His Majesty in the dream, so I woke up in fright. To be honest, that dream didn't have much to do with the previous life. Rather than saying that it was related to the previous life, it was better to say that Shan Yu was afraid that he would follow in the same footsteps in this life. Shang Junlin didn't care about Prince Yu, but if this matter was related to Shan Yu, he couldn't ignore it. Hence, he instructed the hidden dragon guards to get information about the dream from King Yu no matter what method they used. Perhaps he dreamt of what he thought about during the day. That night, Shan Yu dreamt of something related to his previous life. The flames of war swirled in the air as the sounds of killing shook the heavens. He was protected in someone's arms as they passed through the rain of blades and swords. At first, he thought that the person protecting him was Gu Huai from his previous life. Later on, he realized that it was wrong. The time and place were not right. He had never had such close contact with Gu Huai before. The two of them only had a cooperative relationship. Other than the necessary interactions, Gu Huai rarely took the initiative to talk to him. However, the man in his dream was different. His mouth opened and closed as if he was talking non-stop. Shan Yu wanted to hear him clearly, but it was as if there was a layer of cover. No matter how anxious he was, he couldn't hear him. The weather was very cold. It seemed like it was snowing. He curled up in the man's arms and absorbed the only warmth he could. In the darkness, Shen Yu suddenly opened his eyes. His waist was restrained and his back was leaning against a heat source. The warmth kept coming. It was exactly the same as the feeling in his dream. Shen Yu smiled silently. No wonder he had such a dream. In the dream, they were in a world of ice and snow, isolated and helpless. Outside the dream, they were hugging each other and sleeping in a warm palace. It was so nice. Shen Yu turned around and sniffed the man's scent that made him feel at ease. He slowly closed his eyes. The arm around his waist pulled him closer to his chest. When they woke up the next day, it was drizzling outside. The spring rain continued, and the plants grew new branches and leaves. They were verdant and lush, and the grass by the roadside bloomed with white flowers. Shan Yu held an umbrella in one hand and strolled in the rain. The orchids that young master planted have bloomed. Do you want to go and take a look? Mu Shi followed behind him and whispered. Shan Yu turned around. I saw that there were no buds 2 days ago, and now they're blooming? Yes, several of them have bloomed. The aunt in charge of taking care of the flowers and plants told me this morning. Mu Shi knew that her young master liked to grow flowers, so she deliberately mentioned it. All right, let's go and take a look. The flower house was not far from where they were, and they arrived after walking for about a quarter of an hour. Instead of calling it a flower house, it was more appropriate to call it a flower hall. Most of the flowers inside were sent by Shang Junlin. Shen Yu grew flowers as a hobby. He did not care whether the flowers were expensive or not. The flowers sent by Shang Junlin were the same. He sent all the suitable ones that he thought Shen Yu would like. It's really strange. The flower sent by Prince and has bloomed for almost half a year, but there are no signs of it withering. The flower was in a conspicuous position. Mu Shi saw it as soon as she came in. Shan Yu looked up. It's blooming beautifully. As if it understood Shan Yu's praise, the flower swayed gently. Shan Yu looked around and saw the flower that Mu Shi was talking about. He walked over. When the flower was sent by His Majesty, it was withered. Look, young master, it's full of vitality now. The flowers in the flower house were carefully taken care of. Not to mention that Shan Yu personally took care of them, but the fact that these flowers belonged to Shan Yu made the palace servants dare not be careless. Now, everyone in the palace knew how much His Majesty was favored. Serving His Majesty well would have a better future than serving in other places. Shen Yu walked around the flower house and asked, What's the situation outside the palace? Mu Shi. Everything in the Marquis mansion is as usual. Duke Zhenbei and his confidants have secret talks in the study room every day. Inghua's people found a way to sneak in and found that they were talking about how to get Duke Zhenbei back to work in the imperial court. Shan Yu, Duke Zhenbei has always valued the development of the Marquis mansion. Now that he has been stripped of his position and Shan Qingran can't be relied on, he has to find a way to return to the imperial court. Mu Shi, those confidants of Duke Zhenbei seem to want Duke Zhenbei to come to you for help. They said that with His Majesty's favor, as long as you are willing to speak, the predicament of the Duke Zhenbei's mansion can be easily solved. Not only the Duke Zhenbei's mansion, but other officials also said so. After Duke Zhenbei lost power, not everyone drew a clear line with him at the first time. Some people thought that no matter what, Duke Zhenbei was Shen Yu's biological father. Shen Yu couldn't leave him alone. What's more, if His Majesty really thought about His Majesty, he wouldn't let the Duke Zhenbei's mansion decline like this. So in the beginning, several aristocratic families who wanted to marry Duke Zhenbei's mansion didn't give up the idea because of this matter. It was only after Shan Yu passed down the news that these families stopped. Shen Yu, they are indeed right. His Majesty originally wanted to vent his anger. After this anger is vented, won't he restore Duke Zhenbei's position? Then, young master, will Duke Zhenbei's position really be restored? Mu Shi didn't want Duke Zhenbei to enjoy the convenience brought by His Majesty at all. I can't control the affairs of the imperial court. Whether Duke Zhenbei can be restored to his original position or not, only His Majesty knows. Speaking of this matter, Shan Yu was also very curious about how Shang Junlin would deal with it. If it was a big mistake, Duke Xunbei didn't commit much. The matter of adoption was only mentioned verbally but not implemented. Of course, Shan Yu wouldn't give him a chance to implement it. How is concubine Ru? Shan Yu felt that he hadn't heard any news about this person for a long time. She lives in seclusion. It seems that she is completely disappointed with Duke Xunbei. Why do you suddenly ask about her? She was puzzled. If I remember correctly, when concubine Ru came to the Duke Xunbei's mansion, my mother was still there. Ask Ying Hua to go there and see if she can find out something about my mother. Yes. At the beginning of his rebirth, Shan Yu just wanted to know the identity of the woman who gave birth to him. With the development of various things, he found that there were many secrets behind this matter. About the assassination when he was young, the framing at the New Year's banquet. If he didn't investigate clearly, no one knew what would happen one day in the future. Shan Yu didn't like to be in a passive state. Knowing that someone wanted to kill him and hurt Shang Junlin, he couldn't be indifferent. In any case, he had to find out the truth of the matter and find out the person who wanted to kill him. There was also Zhu Wang. He had to think of a way to pry open his mouth. Shan Yu had a group of hidden dragon guards. It was given to him by Shang Junlin. He didn't hide the matter of investigating Zhu Wang from Shang Junlin, so he didn't use the power of Ying Hua. Instead, he let the hidden dragon guards handle it. He knew that after he gave the order, Shang Junlin would know about it. So, he took the initiative to mention this matter to Shang Junlin. Your Majesty, I want to investigate Zhu Wang's past. Maybe I can find some useful clues. They had too few clues. Shan Yu knew that it would be difficult to investigate this matter. However, if he didn't find out the truth, he and Shang Junlin could only be in a passive state. This was something that he couldn't tolerate. You, just do whatever you want to do. You don't have to inform me. I gave you the hidden dragon guards. You have the right to order them around. I want to ask for your Majesty's help. I want to investigate all of Zhu Wang's past. However, it might not be easy to do so. Zhu Wang was locked up in the secret prison. For a long time, no one cared about him. The endless loneliness was the most torturous. He didn't talk to anyone for a long time. This made him want to talk to anyone he saw. Even if he was interrogated, he was willing to do so. After Shang Junlin heard about the Dream Realm from the hidden dragon guards, he was silent for a long time. For some reason, he didn't tell Shan Yu immediately. Shan Yu was still concerned about King Yu's Dream Realm. He told Shang Junlin that he wanted to meet King Yu. He's about to die. Does you want to meet him? Shang Junlin caressed Shan Yu's face. His eyes were dark and gloomy. Has the Ministry of Justice decided on the time of his execution? Shan Yu was stunned. In the end, Shang Junlin brought Shan Yu to the Ministry of Justice's prison. Shang Junlin's behavior was a little abnormal. Shan Yu thought that he was jealous of King Yu. He didn't think too much about it. He wanted to know what happened to King Yu as soon as possible. King Yu was getting more and more confused. When he saw Shan Yu and Shang Junlin, the first thing he said was, "Aren't you dead?" It was hard not to suspect that he did it on purpose. Shan Yu tilted his head and looked at Shang Junlin. The man's face was calm. He didn't seem affected by King Yu's words. "Your Highness, can you recognize me?" Shan Yu lowered his voice. It was similar to the tone he used in his previous life. You?" King Yu turned his head and looked at him. When the same title came out of King Yu's mouth, he felt disgusted. Shan Yu's eyes flashed with disgust. He felt the arm around his waist tighten. Shan Yu tilted his head and said, "Your Highness, I want to talk to him." Just one sentence. Although Shang Junlin was dissatisfied, he didn't refuse. Shan Yu walked in front of King Yu and squatted down. He said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Your Highness, how does it feel to have a sword pierced through your heart?" King Yu's blank expression was replaced by fear. No, King Yu died on the eve of his ascension. That was his real ending in his previous life. Chapter 198. The fog that had been covering his mind dispersed. King Yu finally remembered the last part of his dream. On the eve of his ascension to the throne, he was stabbed in the heart at the place closest to the throne. Until his death, he didn't really sit on the throne. At that time, Shen Yu also said the same thing. Now, the same words awakened the truth that he didn't want to face. It turned out that he didn't wake up at the most critical time in the dream, but he didn't want to believe the final result. Subconsciously, he chose to forget this memory. Shan Yu looked at King Yu's frightened appearance with satisfaction. He stood up straight and turned around without mercy. The hem of his cloak was grabbed and his movement was hindered. Shen Yu stopped, but he didn't look back. He heard King Yu's hoarse voice behind him. "How do you know? Those things are real, aren't they? So what if they are real, so what if they are fake? The result is the same." Shan Yu's voice was calm. His purpose of coming here had been achieved. He was now sure that King Yu was only dreaming about his previous life, and not like him, he was reborn. He was too familiar with the King Yu of his previous life. The one sitting at his feet now was not the same person. "You betrayed me twice, Shen Yu." "Why?" King Yu clenched the hem of his cloak tightly. He didn't want to let go. He wanted to know the answer. In his previous life, they had a good relationship. Shan Yu also devoted his heart to him. Why was it that in the end, it was Shen Yu who destroyed everything he had? King Yu couldn't understand. In his previous life, Shang Junlin didn't exist. Shan Yu didn't enter the palace. He didn't even have any relationship with this person. Why did he fail in the end? He was only one step away. Shang Junlin stood not far from the two of them and heard their conversation clearly. The aura around him became extremely cold. The Minister of Justice, who was standing behind him, felt his heart in his throat. Did he hear some secret that he shouldn't know? Shang Junlin knew that Shen Yu had a lot of secrets. For example, he was obviously not valued by Count Jinbei, so why did he know so much that he shouldn't know? He didn't delve into it because he knew that Shen Yu didn't want to talk about it. She was willing to show her differences in front of him, which showed her trust in him. Didn't Shang Junlin want to know Shen Yu's secret? No, he wanted to know more than anyone else. But he was willing to wait for the day when Shen Yu was willing to take the initiative to tell him. Shang Junlin had always thought that he could ignore it. He had always been the most patient hunter, but at this moment, he realized that he could not do it. He could not remain indifferent to the fact that Shan Yu and the Prince of Yu had a common secret, especially when it was related to the dream that the Prince of Yu had. Shang Junlin had already gotten all the information about the dream from the hidden dragon guards. He couldn't imagine how Shan Yu would give everything to the Prince of Yu. He couldn't imagine how intimate the two of them might have been, even if it only happened in the dream. As long as he thought of those things, the ruthlessness in his heart would be like rolling waves, boiling endlessly. Shang Junlin walked over and stepped on the Prince of Yu's hand that was grabbing onto Shen Yu's clothes. Under the pain, the Prince of Yu had no choice but to let go. Shang Junlin hugged Shen Yu like an evil dragon declaring its sovereignty. "A Yu is not someone you can covet. Do you think you are worth a Yu's betrayal?" The sarcasm was like a sharp sword stabbing into the Prince of Yu's heart. The Prince of Yu laughed out loud. "If he can treat me like this, he will treat you like this sooner or later. Shang Junlin, what are you so proud of? I will wait for the day when we end up in the same situation." Shan Yu felt helpless when he felt the grip on his waist tighten. He thought that Shang Junlin didn't know anything. Now, it seemed like that wasn't the case. The Prince of Yu struggled madly. Shang Junlin frowned. When the Minister of Justice saw this, he quickly ordered the guards to restrain the crazy Prince of Yu. "Don't you have anything to say to me?" The Prince of Yu struggled to look at Shen Yu. "Why did you betray me?" If it wasn't for the guards holding him down, he would have pounced on Shen Yu. Shen Yu sighed. "What does the Prince of Yu want me to say? Other than the fact that I tried to get close to you using deception as an excuse, what else do I have to say?" King Yu was stunned for a moment before he struggled even harder. He whimpered and mumbled some unclear words. Shan Yu had already settled the grudges from his previous life. Although the result was tragic, in this life, the Prince of Yu would pay the price for his crimes. Yu doesn't have anything to say to me? After returning to the palace, Shang Junlin dismissed the palace servants. Only Shan Yu and himself were left in the huge palace. Your Majesty knows the content of the Prince of Yu's dream? Shang Junlin nodded. Shan Yu looked at the man. Is your Majesty afraid? What is there to be afraid of? Shang Junlin stroked Shan Yu's face and gently stroked it. Even if a Yu is an immortal or a demon, he can only be mine. Shan Yu choked on the words he wanted to say. He originally wanted to ask if Shang Junlin was afraid that he would treat him like how he treated the Prince of Yu. However, when he heard Shang Junlin's words, he suddenly realized that Shang Junlin and Shang Junlin were two completely different people. Would Shang Junlin be afraid of him because of this? He already knew the answer in his heart. Actually, I also had the same dream as the Prince of Yu before I entered the palace. Shen Yu gently rubbed Shang Junlin's hand. After the first sentence came out, the following words were much easier to say. Since your Majesty knows the content of this dream, I won't go into detail. I don't know if this dream is real or not, but it doesn't prevent me from hating the Prince of Yu because of this dream. I hate being deceived and schemed against the most. So, Yu chose to do the opposite of what he did in the dream, right? Yes. Originally, when Shen Qingran and his mother schemed against me, I was bound to fight back. Now, I'm glad that I made the decision in the heat of the moment. Otherwise, how could I meet your Majesty? I'm also very glad. Shang Junlin pulled her into his arms. With a Yu, I can't imagine life without a Yu. In the dream, I was blind and couldn't see the true face of the Prince of Yu. I was deceived by him for so long. Shan Yu leaned into the man's arms and said in a muffled voice, What happened after that? What did a Yu say to the Prince of Yu that made him have such a big reaction? Shang Junlin gently patted Shen Yu's back. In a place where Shan Yu couldn't see, his eyes were dark. Of course, I shattered his dream. The Prince of Yu thought that he succeeded in ascending the throne in his dream. In fact, he didn't. I just let him know that whether it was in his dream or in reality, his ambition would be in vain in the end. Shang Junlin was an emperor himself. He knew how much he had to sacrifice in order to make the Prince of Yu's plan fail under such circumstances. His heart was split into two halves. Half of his heart was crazily jealous of the Prince of Yu in his dream. The other half was extremely distressed for Shan Yu's experience in his dream, even if it was just a dream. This caused Shang Junlin's actions at night to be particularly unpredictable. He switched back and forth between being rough and extremely gentle. Shan Yu was tormented quite badly. He kicked her, "Stay away from me." Unsurprisingly, her ankle fell into the palm of the man's hand. Under the gentle peck, her body couldn't help but tremble. Her tears couldn't be controlled and slid down her cheeks. The man patiently kissed her away. His movements were extremely gentle, as if the storm just now was an illusion of Shan Yu. Indulging in the gentleness, Shan Yu's resistance became weaker and weaker. "You can only be mine." The same sentence was repeated over and over again in Shan Yu's ears, as if it was imprinted into his bones. "You, tell me, who do you belong to?" Shan Yu replied randomly, "I am your Majesty's." Yu is so obedient. The next day, when Shen Yu woke up, those words still lingered in his mind. It was as if a unique mark had been engraved in his mind, constantly reminding him that he only belonged to Shang Junlin. Thinking about what happened last night, Shen Yu's face became hot. A jealous man really shouldn't be provoked. Fortunately, Shang Junlin didn't continue to ask about the dream. Shen Yu lay on the bed and sighed as if his body was falling apart. At first, he considered whether or not he should take this opportunity to tell Shang Junlin about his rebirth. After hesitating for a while, he didn't say anything. He only said that he had the same dream as Prince Yu. He didn't know if Shang Junlin believed him or not. Rubbing his sore back, Shan Yu was glad that he didn't tell the truth. It was just a dream, but it made the man have such a big reaction. If he told him that it really happened, he would most likely die in bed. 2 days later, Shan Yu could barely get out of bed and walk normally. It was also the day to set the tombstone outside the palace. Shang Junlin agreed to take him to see it. The time to set the tombstone was calculated in advance by the imperial astronomer. In order to not miss it, Shan Yu deliberately got up early in the morning. Shang Junlin stood behind him and helped him tie up his hair. "Yu, why are you so enthusiastic?" There was a trace of undetectable grievance in his tone. Shan Yu pretended that he didn't hear it and focused on choosing the clothes to wear later. The location was at East Street. Early in the morning, the people who got the news in advance put down their work and came to watch. High officials, noble people, rich people, and ordinary people came from all walks of life. Some small vendors who saw business opportunities moved their stalls here to do business. Because there were so many people, business was very good. Because the number of people who came to watch far exceeded expectations, the imperial government had to borrow people from the imperial guards to maintain order. The carriage reached the corner and couldn't move forward anymore. The imperial guards in charge of maintaining order knew the identity of the person sitting in the carriage and didn't dare to neglect. They took a detour to the center of the street. "Who is in the carriage? Didn't they say that the carriage is not allowed to pass? It must be a noble person. There are several officials who came today. I heard that the Minister of Works, the Minister of Revenue, Minister Fong, and other officials are all here." After the carriage drove for a distance, it stopped. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin got off the carriage and went up to the attic under the guidance of the imperial guards. This was a place specially prepared for the rich and powerful. They couldn't squeeze with the ordinary people when the officials came. If something happened, no one could bear the responsibility. Shang Junlin had the status of De Huan. Naturally, he chose the best place. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin entered the inner room. Through the window, they could see the situation outside clearly. "There are so many people." Shan Yu sighed. In the center of the crowd, there was a huge tombstone covered with a red cloth. When the auspicious time came, the officials of the Ministry of Rites would lift the red cloth. The servants brought tea and all kinds of snacks. Shan Yu picked up one and tasted it while looking down. Your Majesty, look. What is happening over there?" Shang Junlin looked in the direction Shan Yu pointed. He saw several imperial guards below them surrounding a husband and wife who were about 40 years old. He didn't know what they were talking about. "Isn't this person the woman in the house we went to take shelter from the rain last time?" Shan Yu recognized the woman. Chapter 199. Shan Yu still remembered that this woman made delicious snacks. "Meng Chong, go and take a look." Seeing that Shan Yu was concerned, Shang Junlin ordered. Eunuch Meng, who was waiting on the side, took the order and left. Eunuch Meng was a popular person serving the emperor. When they saw him, the guards all made way for him. "Eunuch Meng, do you have something important to tell us?" The couple also saw Eunuch Meng coming. The woman recognized Eunuch Meng and hurriedly stepped forward. "This is—" She didn't know how to address this great eunuch who was respected by the guards, so her words were stuck. "Why are you two here?" Eunuch Meng took the initiative to speak to ease the awkwardness. The woman nudged the man with her elbow. The man reacted and took out the pouch in his arms. "We are here to return this to you." "It's too precious." Eunuch Meng didn't accept it. "Since it's given to you, just accept it." Shan Yu looked at what was happening below and wondered, do they want to give something to Eunuch Meng? "That pouch was left behind by Meng Chong before I left. It seems that they want to return it." People who practiced martial arts had good eyesight. In addition, the couple was standing not far from here, so Shang Junlin could see what the man was holding in his hand. Thinking that Eunuch Meng could handle this matter, Shan Yu stopped paying attention and turned to the center of the crowd. The crowd below was surging, and all kinds of discussions were incessant. "I've been looking forward to it since the day I got the news. I finally waited until today. Yes, in order to see this scene with my own eyes, I didn't set up my stall today. Many people didn't set up their stalls, or they closed their stalls early and came here. Fortunately, it's still the end of the year, so there aren't many things to do. I also brought my child here. This is a big event worth spreading." Shen Yu noticed that there were not only adults below, but also many children. They should have been brought here by the adults. The guards who were transferred here did their best to maintain order. Although there were many people, there was no trouble. Time passed little by little, and the auspicious hour was getting closer and closer. Finally, the auspicious hour arrived. An official from the Ministry of Rites with a good reputation stepped forward and lifted the red cloth on the giant monument in front of everyone. The crowd began to stir. Those who were close tried to find their own names, but the stone tablet was too big and there were too many words carved on it. It was undoubtedly a huge project to find their own names. The whole process didn't take long. After it was over, Shan Yu and Shang Junlin went downstairs together. After going downstairs, they could hear the discussions of the people even more clearly. There were many words of praise for the emperor. The common people were all like this. They were easily satisfied. As long as they could live a stable life, they would feel that their days were better than the last. They would be grateful to those in power. Under the influence of Shan Yu, Shang Junlin changed his previous style. Whenever something big or small happened in the imperial court, especially when it concerned the livelihood of the people, he would know about it through the people's reports. The Jing'an Daily had even opened a special section for the people to submit their opinions. The officials of various places in the Great Huan dynasty had also prepared suggestion boxes. If the people had any ideas, they could go up to the sky and listen. In the past, when people talked about Shang Junlin, most of their words were words that they did not understand. Now, when they talked about him, they were basically praising him. Shan Yu was very satisfied with this change. The couple saw Shan Yu and Shang Junlin coming downstairs from the crowd. The two had an extraordinary bearing. The woman recognized their backs. She held a purse in her hand, her eyes flashing with complex emotions. "Are those the nobles who came to our house to take shelter from the rain?" "Yes. Since the nobles are unwilling to accept it, we'll keep the money for now. In the future, it might be able to help others," the man said. "Don't spend the money recklessly." "I know." After the people behind the scenes were caught, the forces behind the King of Yu were dealt with one by one. After Gu Huai cleaned up the forces on the surface, he returned to the capital to report. The weather gradually warmed up. The new business laws were implemented in an orderly manner. Because of the donation to Subei as a foundation, other than a few stubborn old officials in the court, the implementation of the new business laws did not encounter many obstacles. Businessmen who could make it big were not fools. They knew better than anyone what kind of policies were good for them. After this, Yan Zheng's position in the business circle of the capital became more stable. During the time he stayed in the capital, he became close friends with Boss Jean. Because of the cooperation with Shan Yu, he was destined not to stay in the capital forever. Just like now, after the weather warmed up, he prepared everything and needed to set off for Subei again. Before he set off, Shan Yu gave him some information through shopkeeper Su. The people of Yinghua gradually gained a foothold in the northern desert, and the information was continuously sent back. Since they were collaborators, Shan Yu was not stingy to give Yan Zheng more convenience. In fact, Shan Yu originally planned to meet him in person, but the emperor did not allow it. He thought about it and felt that there was no need to meet him in person, so he handed the matter over to shopkeeper Su. Compared to him, Yan Zheng and shopkeeper Su communicated more. The two of them were more familiar with each other. When he came to the box, Yan Zheng saw that shopkeeper Su was alone. He could not hide his disappointment, but he did not show it on his face. He warmly greeted shopkeeper Su. Shopkeeper Su pretended that he did not notice. In his line of work, he was used to seeing men and women. Yan Zheng hid it very well, but as the two of them spent more time together, it was inevitable that they would find some clues. According to Shan Yu's instructions, shopkeeper Su told Yan Zheng some things about the northern desert. "Boss Yan, the situation in the northern desert may be very different from before. Other things are not important. Boss Yan, You should take care of yourself first. Only in this way can the cooperation last long, right? I know. I know what to do. This time I came back, but I didn't get to meet your son. This is a gift I brought back from the northern desert. Take it as a New Year's gift to your partner. The manservant standing behind Yen Zhang came forward with a small box in his hands. This. Shopkeeper Su looked embarrassed. Your son also gave me a gift for the new year. This is just a gift in return. I don't mean anything else. During the new year, Shan Yu did give Yen Zheng a New Year's gift. Shopkeeper Su knew that he was the one who gave the gift. Shan Yu never mistreated the people around him. Shopkeeper Su himself also received a gift. Seeing that he could not refuse, Shopkeeper Su accepted the gift. I will give it to my son. Thank you, Shopkeeper Su. Boss Yen, you don't have to do this. My son has always been generous to the people around him. During the new year, he always gives us gifts. I know. Yen Zhang knew that Shopkeeper Su was persuading him tactfully. He smiled bitterly in his heart. I know how to repay kindness. If it weren't for your son, my life in the capital would not be so smooth. It's just a small gift. It's not worth mentioning. Yen Zheng's words defined his relationship with Shan Yu. He was just a benefactor. Everything he did was to repay his kindness. There was no other reason. Yen Zheng was not wrong. When he came to the capital, although he had some arrangements, if it weren't for Shan Yu, it would not have been so easy for him to achieve his goal. Shan Yu had indeed done him a great favor. Seeing this, Shopkeeper Su did not say anything else. Let's not talk about this. The last time I went to the northern desert, I found that Shopkeeper Su's lipstick and other women's products were selling very well. The customers there all asked me to bring more next time. Shopkeeper Su, how many products do you have? Yen Zhang put aside his thoughts and talked about business. Recently, there are a lot of new products in the store. Boss Yen, you can take a look. The two started to talk about the products to bring to the northern desert. In the end, they decided to go to Shopkeeper Su's store to take a look. Yen Zheng's gift and the account book of Shopkeeper Su's store were sent to Shen Yu. Mu Shi came over with the account book. Shan Yu saw the extra wooden box on top of the account book at a glance. What's this? Mu Shi took the box and said, Shopkeeper Su said that this is Boss Yan's gift to you in return. Do you want to open it and take a look? Shan Yu faintly felt a little pain in his waist. He waved his hand and said, just put it in the warehouse. Hearing this, Mu Shi put the wooden box aside and took out the account book and put it in front of Shan Yu. This is the account book of Shopkeeper Su's store last month. Please take a look. Shan Yu was happy to delegate power to his subordinates, but he still had to do things that needed to be done. For example, he had to check the account book every month. Trust was one thing, but he still had to do what needed to be done. When Shang Junlin came back after dealing with the affairs of the imperial court, Shan Yu was still looking at the account book. Because there were always new products, the business of Shopkeeper Su's store was very good. At present, in addition to the 3 branches in the capital, there were also branches in other places. These women's products were very popular in the south, where there were many prominent families. There were also many branches there. This caused more and more account books to be sent to Shen Yu every month. Her Majesty is back. Shen Yu put down the pen and rubbed his wrist. Shang Junlin came over and took over his work. He gently pressed his wrist and said, These things can be handed over to the subordinates. You don't have to do it yourself. Shen Yu thought about it and agreed. He asked, Is there a palace servant who is good at this in the palace? Shang Junlin looked at Eunuch Meng. If your Majesty doesn't mind, you can hand this matter over to Meng Yuan. He has been sensitive to numbers since he was a child, Eunuch Meng said. Meng Yuan, also known as Eunuch Meng, was currently the head eunuch of Yuzhong Palace. He was in charge of all the affairs of Yuzhong Palace and was very busy every day. Won't it be too much of a bother to him? What are you talking about, Your Majesty? It's that boy's fortune to be able to work for Your Majesty. If Your Majesty needs anything, just let me know. Eunuch Meng smiled kindly. The people in the palace were not afraid of having too many things to do, but of having nothing to do. Instead of being busy, they couldn't be idle. The more things they had to do, the more important they were to their masters and the more respected they would be. Well, Mu Shi, send these account books to Meng Yuan. Tell him to come to me after he's done with them. Shan Yu trusted Meng Yuan's ability very much. In such a big Yuzhong palace, there was basically no trouble in his hands. He didn't need to worry about big or small matters. Mu Shi left with the account books in her arms. Shan Yu stood up and walked around the room twice. He had been sitting for too long and needed to move. Shang Junlin followed him around the room. Today, the imperial court has set the time to execute Prince Yu. After a moment of silence, Shang Junlin suddenly spoke. After delaying for so long, it should be set. What about Grand Tutor Zeng? Has it been set as well? Shang Junlin observed Shan Yu's expression. Seeing that there was no change in his expression, his mood became a little better. Yes, it's been set as well. Shan Yu thought of the trap that the late emperor left for Shang Junlin and couldn't help but ask, "This matter has finally been settled. He's guilty of treason. If your majesty wants to kill him, no one will object, right? It's about his own life. Who would dare to stand up for him?" Shang Junlin stopped and tightened his grip on Shan Yu's wrist. On that day, does a Yu want to go and see? Witness the death of Prince Yu with his own eyes. He could still feel the young man's smooth skin on his fingertips. His Majesty reminded me. I will write a letter to Boss Yi and tell him to be careful during this time. Shan Yu put down the teacup and put his hands around Shang Junlin's neck. As for the bookstore's safety, I will have to trouble your Majesty. It was true that Shan Yu had Ying Hua, but Ying Hua had just been developed. It was inevitable that there would be mistakes if it was to go against the aristocratic families that had hundreds of years of history in the capital. Shan Yu had always cherished the capable people under him. He didn't want to see the bookstore suffer irreversible damage because of this. I will ask the hidden dragon guards to keep an eye on the aristocratic families. Also, your Majesty should also ask people to keep an eye on the other bookstores that we are collaborating with. Shan Yu's bookstores had his support, but the other bookstores didn't. No one could guarantee that the aristocratic families wouldn't make a move on them. You, don't worry. No matter what, they are helping me. I will not leave them alone. Against the aristocratic families, those bookstores didn't have the power to fight at all. Without Shang Junlin's protection, they could be easily destroyed by the aristocratic families. The aristocratic families acted quickly. After finding out the source, they immediately went to the bookstores. Boss Yi had been warned by Shen Yu. He was already prepared for this. When the aristocratic families made a move, he reacted immediately. The people faintly felt the undercurrent under the calm surface. Overnight, a lot of people suddenly appeared to speak ill of the bookstores. The few bookstores that were the focus of attention happened to be the ones that they could afford to buy some books after the price was lowered. Because Jing Security News was organized in cooperation with the imperial court, the aristocratic families didn't dare to do too much in the first place. They always had to test the waters first to determine how far they could go. The common people wouldn't know about these hidden schemes and games. After the beginning of spring, the flowers and plants in Yuzhong Palace glowed with new vitality. Yuzhong Palace was the most beautiful palace in the imperial harem. After Shan Yu moved in, Shang Junlin was keen on stuffing things inside. Now, Yuzhong Palace was more magnificent than before. Even the emperor himself lived here. All the resources of the palace were tilted to this side. The food in the palace was good, and Shang Junlin raised him well. Today's Shan Yu was better than before in all aspects. Shang Junlin tied up the young man's hair. Because there were still a few months before he turned 20, he still didn't wear a crown. His black hair was only tied behind his head with a hairband of the same color as his clothes. Your Majesty is getting more and more familiar with it. Shen Yu stood up and straightened his robe. Shang Junlin pinched Shen Yu's face. Is you satisfied? As long as it's your majesty, I'm satisfied with anything. Pleased by Shen Yu's words, Shang Junlin's mouth slightly curved. A Yu's mouth is really like honey. Shen Yu gathered the hair on the side of his neck. Does your majesty like it? I like it. He put his thumb on her soft lips and gently pressed. It's very sweet. The tip of Shan Yu's tongue swept over and touched the finger on her lips. Facing the man's suddenly dark eyes, she blinked innocently. It's not sweet. I'll try it. Shang Junlin's voice was slightly hoarse. After he finished speaking, he withdrew his finger from Shan Yu's lips. Shan Yu's chin was gently lifted. The man's breath came closer and finally fell on her lips. Their lips touched, sucked, gently ground by the tip of his teeth, and attacked. Shan Yu half closed her eyes and responded. It's sweet, very sweet. Shang Junlin's voice was vague as if it came through a thin fog. Shan Yu's body went soft. Her whole body weight was supported by the man's arm. Her fingers subconsciously wanted to grab something, and she clenched the cloth under her hand. Before everything became out of control, Shen Yu stopped Shang Junlin's further actions. Don't, we still have to go out of the palace later. Shang Junlin paused for a moment. A little later. We can go another day. After he finished speaking, he wanted to continue. Shen Yu hurriedly reached out to stop him. Boss Yi is still waiting outside the palace. It's not good to let him wait for too long. Shang Junlin irritably made a tisk sound and let go of Shen Yu. Why now? Shen Yu hurriedly withdrew from the man's arms and tidied up her clothes. Her hair was also a little messy. After the two of them tidied up, Eunuch Meng dared to call for the meal. During the meal, Shang Junlin thought of something and suddenly said, directly call him into the palace. He won't go out of the palace today. Shen Yu looked up with chopsticks in her mouth. What's wrong? It's convenient to meet people in the palace. After meeting him, I'll ask the people from the clothing bureau to come over. Yu has grown taller, so she needs to make new clothes. Shen Yu didn't think much about whether she could leave the palace or not. She nodded and said, Your Majesty, it's up to you. After the meal, the two of them took a walk in the small garden. This matter almost became their daily routine. Every time after the meal, Shang Junlin would take them out for a walk. Your Majesty, Boss Yi has arrived at Yuzhong Palace. Eunuch Meng walked over to the two of them and said. When Shen Yu and Shang Junlin returned, Boss Yi was already waiting in the hall. Seeing the two of them, Boss Yi respectfully saluted. This commoner greets Your Majesty, Your Majesty. No need to be so polite. I asked you to come here today to ask about the situation outside. If the bookstore encounters any difficulties, you can ask someone to tell me. I will solve it. The bookstore is fine for the time being. At the beginning, Your Majesty asked us to cooperate with the Imperial Court to set up Jing, a newspaper. At this time, it has become a protective umbrella. Because of Jing and, they still have scruples. What about you? Did they make things difficult for you alone? Boss Yi was stunned for a moment. He didn't know what to feel in his heart. He didn't expect that Shan Yu would care about him alone. Replying to Your Majesty, they privately found this commoner 2 days ago and said that they are willing to spend a lot of money to buy the new printing method from this commoner. As long as this commoner is willing to not use this method in the future, and will not spread this method. Boss Yi said the conditions of the aristocratic family. They are really generous. 10,000 taels of gold, not including other benefits. Shang Junlin coldly sneered. The atmosphere in the hall was getting colder and colder. Shen Yu held Shang Junlin's hand and squeezed it. You continue. The benefits were given. What about the threats? What did they use to coerce you? The aristocratic family had always been domineering. Shen Yu didn't think that they would only give benefits and not say a word about threats. Use the bookstore. They said that if I don't know what's good for me, there's no need for this bookstore to continue. When he was threatened, Boss Yi was angry. Now that he was asked by Shen Yu, he didn't have much emotion in his heart. They dared to say such words. They shouldn't know that the person behind you is me. If they knew the existence of Shen Yu, they would be able to guess that the person behind him was Shang Junlin. At that time, what they would do was not just to threaten Boss Yi, the bookstore's owner. There was no movement in the imperial court, which meant that they didn't know that Shang Junlin was behind this matter. However, it couldn't be hidden for a few days. As long as they started to attack the bookstore, they would find that this bone was not so easy to chew. After understanding the situation, Boss Yi was secretly sent out of the palace. Shan Yu had many shops outside, but few people knew that the real owner of these shops was him. This bookstore was taken over by Shen Yu. During the process of taking over, he didn't show up. Except for Shen Yu's confidants and Shang Junlin, even fewer people knew. After Boss Yi left, the people from the clothing bureau came. They didn't dare to slack off in the slightest to make clothes for the only two masters in the palace. This servant greets your majesty, your highness. The female official of the clothing bureau came with the palace maids and saluted. With the previous lesson, this time they didn't do it themselves. Instead, they gave the measuring tools to Shang Junlin. Shen Yu opened his arms to let the man measure. Looking at the man in front of him, he whispered, "Didn't your majesty know? Why do you want to measure it again? It's more accurate to measure it again. You doesn't want to make clothes that don't fit, right?" After the measurement, Shang Junlin reported the measurements to the female official of the clothing bureau. The female official hurriedly wrote down the data. "Your Majesty, the clothes you asked the clothing bureau to make last time are ready." The female official of the clothing bureau beckoned the palace maid with a tray of clothes to come forward. "Your Majesty and Your Highness, please take a look." Shen Yu looked up and saw the dazzling red cloth on the palace maid's hand. "You, see if you like it." Shen Yu walked over and touched the cloth. It was very familiar. After all, Shang Junlin used this cloth to tightly bind his hands in order to prevent him from hurting his hands. Chapter 201. Shen Yu put his fingers into the cloth and found that it was translucent. The red silk from last time was long and was folded several times, so he didn't notice this. No wonder Shang Junlin said that he could only wear it for him. The single layer of fabric felt softer and softer to the touch, like clouds stacked together. It could be touched, but it also gave off a feeling of unfathomable mystery. The people from the clothing bureau left the clothes behind and left. Shang Junlin naturally wouldn't let Shen Yu wear this kind of translucent clothes in front of so many palace servants. You, try it on for me tonight, okay?" Shang Junlin hugged Shen Yu from behind and whispered in his ear. The man's voice was low and magnetic, with an indescribable sense of seduction. His hot breath sprayed on Shen Yu's sensitive ear. His earlobe was gradually dyed red, like a ripe fruit, tempting to be picked. Shang Junlin stretched out the tip of his tongue and gently slid it over. Shan Yu's body trembled, and even his voice was trembling. "Your Majesty." The earlobe was sucked into his hot and moist mouth, and the tip of his teeth gently rubbed over the ripe fruit, as if he could absorb the rich flesh of the fruit. Shan Yu clenched the clothes in his hand, and the complicated black robe instantly had a few more wrinkles. The earlobe was released, and the sucking kisses fell on the side of the neck, which was one of the man's favorite places and was often the focus of attention. Shan Yu couldn't break free, so he could only let the man thoroughly bully him. Fortunately, the man didn't intend to go all the way. He just hugged and kissed and nibbled as much as he wanted, leaving a lot of marks. Shen Yu touched the side of his neck, and the feeling just now still remained. Just a gentle touch was enough to make him tremble. Shen Yu gave up and withdrew his hand, thinking that he probably couldn't see anyone during this time. "Why does your Majesty always like to leave marks on my body?" Shen Yu complained. "I have to find a way to cover it when I go out." Winter was actually not that bad. Shen Yu definitely had to wear a cloak when he went out. He had a lot of cloaks with fur collars, so no one would see anything after he put them on. Shang Junlin looked at the marks he left behind with an infatuated expression. If it weren't for Shan Yu's prohibition, he would have left his mark on the young man's body at all times. You can also leave a U for me. Shang Junlin's voice was filled with lust, and his voice was deeper than usual. Shan Yu couldn't stand this sound because he heard it most of the time when he was in bed. After a long time, it could easily arouse his body. Shan Yu felt restless in his body. He picked up the cup beside him and drank a cup of cold water. That's Zhen's cup, Shang Junlin said slowly. I don't mind drinking from your Majesty's cup. Does your Majesty dislike me? Shan Yu regained his calmness and was no longer in a situation where he was suppressed. Doesn't you know best whether I dislike you or not? Shang Junlin's ambiguous gaze fell on Shan Yu. It was like a fire that wanted to ignite the person being stared at. Shan Yu couldn't sit still under his gaze. He walked over and covered Shang Junlin's eyes. I know your Majesty doesn't dislike me. Didn't your Majesty want me to try on clothes for you to see? When I'm in a good mood, I'll wear them for your Majesty to see. Of course, Shang Junlin didn't dislike him. Shan Yu knew this better than anyone else. After all, there were many things that he was unwilling to do for Shang Junlin, but Shang Junlin did it for him without any psychological burden. Of course, it would be even better if Shang Junlin didn't kiss him after doing those things. Although every time, under Shan Yu's strong request, Shang Junlin would rinse his mouth before kissing him. Thinking of this, Shan Yu's face became even hotter. What is you thinking? Why is your face so red? The crimson color spread on his jade-like snow-white skin little by little, like peach blossoms blooming in spring. It was too beautiful to behold. Shang Junlin's tongue lightly touched the roof of his mouth. He felt that he shouldn't let Shan Yu off so easily. Seeing that the atmosphere was getting more and more romantic, Shan Yu didn't want to spend the whole afternoon and night in bed, so he tried to change the topic. Does your Majesty have any clues about the other forces left by the late Emperor? They executed Prince Yu and Grand Tutor Zhang because they knew that they couldn't get any useful information from these two people. Since they were useless, there was no need to keep them alive. If it weren't for the fact that the late Emperor left behind a contingency plan, Shang Junlin wouldn't have tolerated Prince Yu for so long. We've investigated some of them. Other than the ones already eliminated by Gu Huai, Sun Zhao found 20,000 private soldiers near Prince Yu's fief. After investigation, it was confirmed that these soldiers didn't have any interactions with Grand Tutor Zhang or Prince Yu. If Grand Tutor Zhang didn't lie, other than these 20,000 soldiers, there are still 230,000 soldiers whose whereabouts are unknown. 230,000 soldiers, no matter how you looked at it, wasn't a small number. Also, if the late emperor had enough soldiers, why did he watch other countries invade the Great Huan dynasty and take away its territory? No matter how muddle-headed an emperor was, he wouldn't be willing to be the ruler of a fallen country. Everyone wanted to leave their name in history, not be cursed after death and go down in history as a byword. Perhaps the late emperor didn't have so many soldiers. He said this just to make Grand Tutor Zhang fearful. Or perhaps, Grand Tutor Zhang is deliberately lying to confuse us and make us fearful. Shang Junlin suggested a few possibilities. Shan Yu thought for a moment and felt that it was reasonable. Only he knew how much of Grand Tutor Zhang's words were true and how much were false. What about the other things? Grand Tutor Zhang told us where the late emperor's money was stored. Did your Majesty find it? The part that could be used by Grand Tutor Zhang was mostly used by him. The rest, I sent people to retrieve. I now know why the treasury was empty when I ascended the throne. It turns out that the things in the treasury had been moved away long ago. Shan Yu was stunned. Those were all things in the treasury. There were a lot of imperial goods. After the Ministry of Revenue checked them, he told me that there were many things that were once recorded in the treasury but were later inexplicably lost. Your Majesty. Shan Yu knew that Shang Junlin's ascension to the throne was far more difficult than it seemed on the surface, but he didn't expect the late emperor to go to this extent and secretly move the things in the treasury. Was the late emperor's extravagance and waste in his later years a cover for this matter? Seeing the worry in Shan Yu's eyes, Shang Junlin sighed and hugged her in his arms. I'm fine. I feel that it's not unexpected that he would do such a thing. No matter how many arrangements he made, they will eventually be broken one by one. You will help me, right? Shan Yu leaned in the man's arms and nodded gently. In a place where Shan Yu couldn't see, Shang Junlin's mouth curved up. His Yu was the most soft-hearted. He didn't care about what the late emperor did, but he cared about Shan Yu. If Yu could be more soft-hearted towards him because of the late emperor's matter and be more reluctant to leave him, it would be best. Because the remaining half wasn't found, this matter wasn't made public for the time being. Grand Tutor Zheng gave a lot of things, and Shang Junlin sent a special official to handle each of them. If the information was verified to be true, then it would be dealt with accordingly. After Gu Huai completed his task and returned to the capital, he didn't get a promotion, but the imperial court gave him the general's mansion, which was located in a bustling area of the capital. The previous owner of this mansion was the once prominent Lin family. The Lin family had been generals for generations and had made outstanding contributions to the great Huan kingdom. If the late emperor didn't listen to slanderous words, the Lin family wouldn't have ended up in such a miserable state. After the Lin family was defeated, the military strength of the great Huan kingdom declined sharply, and no one could resist the foreign enemy. Facing the invasion of other countries, the imperial court didn't do anything and was powerless to do anything. Congratulations, General Gu. After the court, the officials wanted to be on good terms with Gu Huai, a rising star. After this incident, anyone with eyes could see that Gu Huai had a promising future. In the imperial court, the attitude of the emperor was very important, and Shang Junlin's intention to nurture Gu Huai was obvious. In addition, Gu Huai was a military general and didn't have much to do with the civil officials, so the officials didn't mind being on good terms with him. After a simple greeting, Gu Huai bid farewell to the officials and left the palace. He didn't go to the newly bestowed general's mansion, but instead went to Grand Tutor Gu's mansion. Grand Tutor Gu wasn't on duty today and was drying herbs in the courtyard. When he saw Gu Huai in his official robes, he was stunned. "Brother, I'm back." With a clang, the basket of herbs in his hand fell to the ground. Gu Huai walked in and naturally squatted down to pick up the herbs on the ground. "Brother, why are you so careless?" Grand Tutor Gu stared blankly at the youth squatting on the ground. No, it was no longer accurate to call him a youth. After not seeing him for half a year, Gu Huai had greatly changed compared to when he left. The contours of his face were more firm, and the aura between his eyebrows was domineering. He had matured a lot, and the immaturity on his face had completely faded. The current Gu Huai was a completely mature man. He wasn't a spoiled youth who stuck to his side. Grand Tutor Gu came back to his senses and squatted down as well. "I can do it myself." Gu Huai's hands paused. "Brother, you don't want me anymore? How can that be? Then why are you so distant with me? I'm not used to it. You've changed too much. When you returned to the capital, I went to see you and almost didn't recognize you. Xiao Huai, you've grown up." Gu Huai was somewhat happy. "I also saw you, but it wasn't convenient to talk to you at that time. Brother, I can protect you in the future. Brother, I don't want to live in the general's residence. There's no one there. It's cold and cheerless. Can I continue to stay here?" After picking up the herbs, Gu Huai asked softly, "This is also your home. Of course you can stay here if you want." When the youth was here, he didn't feel the constant chatter by his ear. After the youth left, Grand Tutor Gu suddenly realized how cold and cheerless it was to live alone. Now that he heard that Gu Huai wanted to stay, his heart was filled with joy. Some officials who wanted to be on good terms with Gu Huai came to visit. When they found out that Gu Huai wasn't living in the general's residence, but in the same place as his elder brother, they sighed inwardly. It was basically impossible to keep a secret in the imperial court. In just a few days, Shang Junlin also learned of this news. That brat Gu Huai didn't want to live in the residence I gave him. He insisted on squeezing in with Grand Tutor Gu. If he hadn't asked for this residence himself, I would have suspected that he wasn't satisfied with the residence I gave him. Did he ask for the Lin residence himself? I thought that your Majesty casually gave it to him. Shan Yu was surprised. The Lin family situation is special. I've kept this residence until now. In fact, I plan to keep it forever. I never thought of giving it away. Shang Junlin always had a special feeling towards the Lin family. Shan Yu searched his memory and found information about the Lin family. Before the Lin family declined, they were famous. Shang Junlin's first place in the army seemed to be under the Lin family. Why did your majesty change your mind and give away the residence? Shan Yu thought of a possibility. Is Gu Huai related to the Lin family? Chapter 202. He may be the last descendant of the Lin family in this world, Shang Junlin said. About the Lin family. Shan Yu had heard about the Lin family. The Lin family was a loyal family, but because the previous emperor was muddle-headed and listened to the traitors, the whole family was slaughtered. Even the babies in their swaddling clothes were not spared. Many ministers who tried to plead for mercy for the Lin family were implicated. They were either demoted or dismissed. There were even some old ministers who resigned in anger and retreated to the mountains. The treacherous officials used this incident to eliminate dissidents. It was after this incident that the imperial court was almost controlled by the treacherous officials. There were many strange things in the past, but no one dared to mention it. I believe that your majesty can deal with these remaining problems. Shan Yu rubbed Shang Junlin's shoulder. You have so much confidence in me? Shan Yu nodded. In his previous life, no one cared about these innocent souls who died in vain. In this life, the opportunity was in front of him. He should clear their names. Why is you so concerned about so many things? Shang Junlin lifted a strand of the young man's hair and played with it in his hand. Because I want De Huan to become better and better under your majesty's rule. Is it because of me? Yes, your majesty is my husband. I hope that when my husband is mentioned by others, it is only words of praise. Shang Junlin's heart was moved. He always thought that Shan Yu took out all kinds of things and made all kinds of plans because he cared about the common people and was born with compassion. Now, Shan Yu told him that he did all this only because of him. Shang Junlin hugged Shan Yu tightly. He never cared about being a good emperor. His original intention of taking the throne was because if it was someone else who sat on the throne, he would die. Everyone wanted him to die, but he did not. He not only wanted to live well, but also to stand at the top. Yu hoped that he would be a good emperor, and he would do it. He would let everyone talk about them in the future with envy and praise. He would give his Yu the best in the world. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of King Yu's execution. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin changed into casual clothes and left the palace. Eunuch Meng was already used to his two masters leaving the palace from time to time, so he was familiar with taking care of everything. The streets were bustling with noise and excitement. The commoners had been worried about such a big matter for a long time. Now that the dust had settled and the leader of the rebel army and the mastermind had been arrested and were about to be executed, the commoners all came to watch. Shan Qingran was mixed in the crowd. He was at a loss. He had nothing now. His last escape route had almost become his life-taking talisman. Did he transmigrate just to witness how Shen Yu's life was going smoothly? Shang Junlin didn't take Shen Yu directly to the place where the execution would take place. Instead, he chose a tea house where he could see what was going on there. The crowd below was surging, and there was a lot of discussion. Shan Yu watched the Prince of Yu being escorted to the execution platform. He couldn't tell what he was feeling in his heart. He seemed to be thinking about a lot of things, but also seemed to be thinking about nothing at all. Shan Yu's hand on the table was held. He raised his eyes and said, "Your Majesty, if you don't want to watch, let's go back to the palace." In fact, this tea house was quite far from the place where the execution would take place. Even if they watched, they could only see the general situation. Shang Junlin didn't want Shen Yu to see a bloody scene. Before leaving the palace, he asked again and again. It was Shen Yu who wanted to come here. "I'm fine." Shen Yu shook his head. He came here to confirm the death of the Prince of Yu. He also wanted to confirm whether the plot in this life really jumped out of the story. Seeing that he insisted, Shang Junlin held his hand tightly and didn't say anything else. On the execution platform, it was rare for the Prince of Yu to be completely sober. He was very clear about what kind of ending was waiting for him. That day in the prison, Shen Yu's words broke all his fantasies. He didn't know how Shen Yu knew the content of his dream. But after that sentence, every time he fell into a dream, he would dream of the scene of being stabbed in the heart by the young man. It was as if the young man wanted to make up for every previous dream. Every day after that, as long as he fell asleep, he would dream of the scene he didn't want to see the most. He experienced the process of his death over and over again. The dream was so clear that it completely restored every moment. The process of being stabbed in the heart and waiting for death was repeated over and over again. The Prince of Yu almost went crazy. He was held down by the guards. He turned his head and looked at a certain place. His eyes narrowed. He saw a very familiar figure. It was too familiar. It was so familiar that it appeared again and again in the nightmare. Shen Yu. He couldn't help but chuckle. He reached the peak because of this person, but it was also because of this person that he was sent to hell at the highest point. Whether in the dream or in reality, he failed miserably because of this person. It was like a joke. In the afternoon, Shen Yu's eyes were blinded by the glaring sunlight. When he opened his eyes again, everything was already over. The Prince of Yu was dead. The sky was still clear outside. Nothing had happened. Shen Yu's invisible boulder fell to the ground. His eyes gradually focused. It was very lively downstairs. The wicked received the punishment they deserved. The common people felt very satisfied. Feeling an unkind gaze on him, Shen Yu looked over. It was Shen Qingran. Shen Yu hadn't seen the other protagonist in the novel for a long time. One of them was upstairs, and the other was in the crowd. Their eyes met unexpectedly. Shen Qingran was the first to move his eyes away. Shen Yu retracted his gaze. He picked up the teacup and took a sip. What did you see? Someone who doesn't matter. After the King of Yu was executed, the imperial court began to deal with the officials who were involved with him. They were all severely punished. Official Su's family and his in-laws were all sentenced to exile at the lightest punishment. Shang Junlin's punishment was very heavy. As it involved rebellion, no one dared to say anything. After a period of time, the place where the executions were carried out was filled with the smell of blood. This was not a strange thing for the common people in the capital. Not to mention long ago, they had also experienced such a thing last year. What was different was that this time, everyone felt that it was good to kill. Every time a person was executed, the people's newspaper would report the person's crime the next day. Some people felt that Shang Junlin's crime was too heavy, and he shouldn't be punished. The common people spontaneously argued back. This kind of person deserves to die. Yes. When they were doing evil, why didn't they think about the many people who would die because of them? They just had to pay with their lives. How could there be people who think that His Majesty went too far? If you ask me, beheading them is too easy. They have so many lives on their backs. It's not too much to kill them by 1,000 cuts. The knife didn't stab themselves, so they don't feel the pain. Anyway, I don't think the imperial court did anything wrong. Severe punishment can deter those who have similar thoughts. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have a few people. If the imperial court wants to punish you, it doesn't matter how many people you have. Because the imperial court's actions were too big, the common people were all talking about it. When the King of Yu's case came to an end, it was already the middle of April. The weather was gradually getting warmer, and the imperial court was gradually settling down. The King of Yu's fief was taken back by the imperial court. Sun Zhao was promoted and continued to stay in Yuezhou to deal with the remaining issues. The spring sun was good, and Shen Yu liked to stay outside. Shang Junlin ordered people to tidy up the pavilion. Shen Yu spent half of his time in the pavilion during the day. Under Shen Yu's influence, Shang Junlin also changed the place where he wrote his memorials. The sunlight shone in from outside. Shen Yu was bored to death, so he picked up the memorials on the stone table. These were the ones that Shang Junlin didn't finish writing. His Majesty clearly forbade us to bother Gue Jun with this matter. If you really go, not to mention Gue Jun, you will definitely be punished by His Majesty. Before they could discuss and come up with a plan for this matter, another matter came crashing down on them. No one had the extra energy to care about Shang Junlin's harem. His Majesty wanted to reopen the Lin case. Since they have so much free time to keep an eye on His Majesty's harem, we might as well find something for them to do. Shan Yu picked up the scroll on the table. His eyes were cold. Yu is right. The previous emperor left a lot of suspicious cases. If one case can't shut their mouths, then take a few more. After knowing that some people wanted to persuade His Majesty through Shen Yu, Shang Junlin warned these people. He said that he wouldn't let this matter bother Shen Yu. He would never let the ministers have a chance to talk about this matter in front of Shen Yu. Chapter 203. The ministers who were secretly warned would naturally not spread this matter around. After being warned, they obediently kept their mouths shut. After all, this was only a warning. If they really angered Shang Junlin, no one knew what would happen to them next time. Although Shang Junlin's temper was much better than before after Gue Jun entered the palace, it didn't mean that they could escape punishment because of this. Especially when it came to Gue Jun, His Majesty might be even more ruthless than before. With the lesson of the past, no one dared to joke about their future. His Majesty is in the prime of his life. It is indeed too early to worry about this. When the time comes, we will cross the bridge. When the time comes, there will naturally be a solution. Haha. After finding a good excuse for themselves, everyone tacitly agreed not to mention this matter again. It was Gu Huai who proposed to reopen the Lin case. He had made a great contribution. When Shang Junlin asked him what reward he wanted, he rejected everything else. He only wanted to reopen the Lin case. If there was a mistake in the previous case, he hoped that justice would be served to the Lin family. Gu Huai's identity had long been speculated in the imperial court. When he had just returned to the capital, the ministers who had connections in their hands had investigated everything related to him. Although they could not find out his specific background, they found out that he and Imperial Physician Gu were not biological brothers. He was picked up by Imperial Physician Gu when he was young. This was not a secret and could be easily found out. However, it was impossible to find out more. If they wanted to reopen the old case, it would involve many things. First, there was the problem of the previous emperor's prestige. If the previous emperor personally stamped his seal to reopen the case, it would undoubtedly be a slap to the previous emperor's face. Second, there were too many victims and beneficiaries at that time. If the case could really be reopened, there would be a lot of trouble to deal with in the future. As for the first problem, the ministers knew that Shang Junlin did not care at all. If he cared, he would not have led the army directly into the palace and used force to obtain the position. After the court, the ministers gathered together. Do you think that His Majesty knows about this matter? About General Gu? He should know about it. Before this, I couldn't figure out why His Majesty was willing to put someone who came out of nowhere in an important position. If General Gu is really a descendant of the Lin family, then everything makes sense. That's right, the Lin family has produced many talented generals. If it weren't for that disaster, De Huan wouldn't have had such a turbulent period. Didn't you say that the Lin family colluded with the enemy and committed treason, and that the evidence is conclusive? Whether it's true or not depends entirely on what the late emperor said. At that time, there were many suspicious points in this matter. Many officials requested for a detailed investigation, but the late emperor didn't listen. He didn't give them any chance to explain and directly convicted them. However, the situation of the Lin family at that time was also very strange. What do you mean? I only discovered this when I was looking through the files. At that time, someone suddenly reported to the late emperor that the Lin family had colluded with the enemy and committed treason. At that time, the Lin family's father and sons were all out killing the enemy. It wasn't that there weren't any people left in the capital, but no one stood out to defend their family. Later on, the Lin family's army was attacked from the front and back and all of them were sacrificed. The Lin family that was left in the capital also met with a big fire. Shan Yu and Shang Junlin were also looking through the files about the Lin family. Since they were going to reopen this case, it was necessary to have a sufficient understanding of it. Placed on the table were not only the files transferred from the Supreme Court, but also the evidence that Gu Huai had secretly investigated over the years. In this whole matter, what is the role of Fei Meng? Shen Yu put down the files. He still couldn't understand this point. Shang Junlin had been investigating the matter of Fei Meng, but he didn't find any useful clues. Because of Shen Yu's request, Fei Meng was listed as a forbidden drug in Dehuan. After a year, Fei Meng basically didn't appear again. According to Gu Huai's previous statement, the Lin family was also a victim of Fei Meng. But how did Fei Meng harm the Lin family? Gu Huai has also been investigating. Under the candlelight, the shadows of the two people overlapped. Shang Junlin rubbed Shen Yu's forehead. It's getting late. Rest early. We'll talk about it tomorrow. After reading the files for an entire afternoon, Shen Yu felt a little dizzy. He stood up from Shang Junlin's arms. Your Majesty, accompany me for a walk outside. Okay. Shen Yu was led by Shang Junlin as they walked in the small garden. Moonlight poured down in torrents, casting a faint silver halo over all things. Shen Yu looked up. A big and round moon hung high in the night sky, dotted with stars. It was a beautiful sight. The moon tonight is really round. Shen Yu sighed. It's really beautiful. It's not as good as a Yu. Shang Junlin's eyes were fixed on Shen Yu. Your Majesty, how can you compare me to the moon? Shen Yu retracted his gaze and turned to look at Shang Junlin. He was caught off guard and looked into the man's dark eyes. In my eyes, everything is not as good as a Yu. Your Majesty also said that my mouth was smeared with honey. Your Majesty should be the one smeared with honey. Then, a Yu, do you want to taste whether my mouth is smeared with honey? Okay, Your Majesty, close your eyes. Shang Junlin gently closed his eyes. Shen Yu wrapped his arms around the man's neck, tiptoed slightly, and sent his lips to the man's. When their lips touched, the breath of another person invaded his nose. Shen Yu remembered the man's words and stuck out his tongue to taste it. He didn't know whether it was sweet or not, because before he could taste it, the man took away his breath. His waist was restrained. The man's strength was very strong, as if he wanted to melt into his bones. The tip of Shen Yu's tongue was sucked until it was numb. He unwillingly pushed the man's shoulders, but the man held him tighter. A light breeze blew past, lifting up the two's hair. Their hair intertwined in the air, becoming inseparable. Finally, Shan Yu was released. His body was a little weak, leaning against the man's arms. His whole body weight was almost pressed on the pair of arms that restrained his waist. I didn't even taste it. Shan Yu murmured in a low voice. Try again. Shang Junlin pressed his forehead against Shen Yu. His voice was slightly hoarse. Shen Yu shook his head. My tongue is a little numb. Let me see. Shang Junlin released Shen Yu a little and lifted his chin. Open your mouth. Shen Yu obediently opened his mouth and stuck out a small section of his tongue. The tip of his tongue was bright red. Shang Junlin's eyes darkened, and he fiddled with his fingers. Shen Yu quickly retracted his tongue and said vaguely, It's okay, you don't have to look. Is it really okay? It's just that Your Majesty is a little strong. It's really okay. After a while, Shen Yu's tongue was no longer numb. Shang Junlin was still worried. Fortunately, after a night, Shen Yu's tongue was fine. He pushed Shang Junlin. I said it's okay, but Your Majesty still asked Imperial Physician Gu to come. It's not troublesome to take a look. Shan Yu's body was recuperating well, and he didn't need to take medicine anymore. Imperial Physician Gu also didn't come as frequently as before. After taking Shan Yu's pulse, Imperial Physician Gu's expression didn't change. Guojuan's body is recovering well. You don't need to take the prescription I gave you last time every 2 to 3 days. Shen Yu didn't expect Imperial Physician Gu's visit to have such benefits. The corners of his mouth slightly raised. Shen Yu's body was getting better day by day. The happiest person was Shang Junlin. Not only Imperial Physician Gu, but the servants in Yuzhong Palace were also rewarded. The palace servants liked to serve in Yuzhong Palace. The master was easy to serve, and the treatment was good. Shen Yu had a lot of shops. Every time there was a new product, shopkeeper Su would send it to the palace. He didn't need most of these things, so he would reward them to the servants. They were all new products that people outside the palace rushed to buy. The palace maids were very happy to receive them. The Lin family's matter progressed very quickly. Before Gu Huai proposed it, he had already made sufficient preparations. If he didn't have sufficient evidence in his hands, he wouldn't have rashly proposed it. The emperor ordered a retrial of the case. No matter what the ministers thought, they had to do what they had to do. They had to look through the files and re-examine the witnesses. After so many years, even if Gu Huai had enough evidence in his hands, it wouldn't be so easy to re-examine the case. This matter was handed over to Fong Jun. The Supreme Court assisted from the side. Fong Jun was from the Supreme Court, so he didn't need to work with his former colleagues again. Every day, new developments were sent to the palace. Many people knew that there was something fishy about the Lin family. However, the previous emperor was determined to convict the Lin family. Even if they knew, it was useless. Those who pleaded for mercy or raised objections were either demoted or removed from their positions. Some even lost their lives because of it. A new emperor brings in new officials. The officials that were left in the court today were all selected later. Fong Jun could barely be considered one of those who had experienced the previous emperor's reign. There weren't many left. What they were familiar with was Shang Junlin's swift and decisive style. With the revelation of the Lin family's matter, they suddenly realized how chaotic the court was when the previous emperor was on the throne. There are clearly so many suspicious points in this matter. How could it be decided directly? This matter concerns the lives of tens of thousands of people. How could it be so careless? At that time, you know how ridiculous it was. What's there to make a fuss about? So that's why there weren't many objections when His Majesty ascended the throne? Keep your voice down. Walls have ears, but that's not necessarily the case. His Majesty is the only legitimate son of the princes, so it's only natural that he should take over this position. Furthermore, it was His Majesty who resolved the crisis of the Great Huan dynasty and saved the people from disaster. Logically speaking, this position should belong to His Majesty. His Majesty reversed the verdict for the Lin family because he didn't want the loyal souls to be wronged? Regarding this matter, many officials who knew the inside story had complicated feelings. In the early years, they thought that His Majesty had no scruples. Now, it seemed that it wasn't that His Majesty didn't care. He was just waiting for the best opportunity. Otherwise, why would he choose Gu Huai, who was determined to reverse the verdict for the Lin family? His Majesty had the hidden dragon guards. They didn't believe that His Majesty didn't know this person's background before he chose him. Shen Yu and Shang Junlin didn't know what the officials were thinking. After the matter was handed down, Shang Junlin didn't waste any more time on this matter. After the matter with the King of Yu was settled, Shang Junlin was free for the time being. He planned to take Shen Yu out of the palace for 2 days. Last year, because of an accident, he didn't go out with Shen Yu. This year, Shang Junlin planned to take Shen Yu out again. Shen Yu was trying on clothes. The weather was getting warmer. Shen Yu took off the thick winter clothes and changed into thin spring clothes. Because he had grown taller, the clothes he wore last year were a little small. The clothing bureau rushed to make new clothes overnight. The new clothes followed the style that Shen Yu always liked. It was simple and comfortable. His black hair was tied up with a hairband of the same color. When Shen Yu finished changing, Shang Junlin had already changed into casual clothes. Are you going out of the palace today? Shen Yu looked at Shang Junlin and asked. Shang Junlin would only change into clothes without dragon embroidery when he was going out of the palace. Recently, there is a polo match outside the palace. Do you want to go and watch? Polo was a popular sport in Dahuan. Shan Yu didn't play much due to his physical limitations. Will His Majesty play? Shan Yu wasn't interested in watching others play. However, it was different if His Majesty played. Chapter 204. You wants to see me play? This was unexpected by Shang Junlin. He brought Shen Yu out of the palace just to take him out to relax. Polo was a very popular sport in Dahuan. It just so happened that there was going to be a polo competition outside the palace. Maybe Shen Yu would like it. It's okay to watch it with your majesty. Shen Yu changed his mind when he was about to say it. He was wrong at the beginning. Shang Junlin was the emperor. He joined the army when he was young. He was different from the other princes. When others were eating, drinking and playing, he killed enemies on the battlefield and fought for a way to survive. He might not know much about polo, a sport that was more for entertainment. If you wants to watch, I can play. Shen Yu held Shang Junlin's hand and shook his head. I thought about it. I still think it's better to watch it with your majesty. If your majesty plays, I will be the only one watching from the sidelines. Compared to being alone, I want your majesty to accompany me. I'll listen to you. After April, the weather became clearer and clearer. In the blink of an eye, it was the day that Shang Junlin planned to leave the palace. This time, the two still kept a low profile and did not bring many people with them. Eunuch Meng packed up everything, changed into casual clothes, and left the palace with them. The carriage traveled all the way, getting further and further away from the palace. Shen Yu opened the curtain and looked outside. The spring sun was bright and beautiful. A breeze blew, bringing a cool breeze. Seeing that the carriage was about to leave the city gate, Shen Yu put down the curtain, sat back, and asked, Your Majesty wants to take me outside the city? To Tsongqi Mountain. Because of an accident last year, Yu did not have a good tour. This year, I will make it up to Yu. The carriage traveled for another half an hour and stopped. Eunuch Meng said outside the carriage, Your Majesty, we have arrived. Shen Yu followed Shang Junlin and got off the carriage. The palace servants quickly arranged everything. The scenery of Tsongqi Mountain was very beautiful. As far as the eye could see, it was lush green with all kinds of flowers blooming. Occasionally, colorful butterflies would fly over and stop on the petals. Beautiful scenery could always make people feel good. Shan Yu was not a person who liked to run around. He could stay in the palace for a long time, but if he could occasionally come out to see the beautiful scenery outside the palace, he would be very happy. Your Majesty, please accompany me for a walk. Shen Yu and Shang Junlin walked along the path. Shang Junlin chose a place where there were not many people. After walking for a while, the number of people gradually increased. Tsongqi Mountain was quite popular. Every year in spring, many people would come to play. Students gathered by the stream, singing poems and making music. It was a joyous scene. As he got closer, Shan Yu could hear what they were talking about. Some were praising the beauty of spring, some were talking about the current situation, and some were talking about all kinds of topics. When the students saw Shen Yu and Shang Junlin, they enthusiastically came forward to invite them. Would the two young masters like to come over for a drink? Young Master Yu? Before Shen Yu and Shang Junlin could speak, a young student sitting by the stream ran over. It's really young Master Yu. When we parted, my companions and I wanted to invite the two of you to have a chat, but we couldn't find you. Now we meet you. Shan Yu looked at the enthusiastic young student and faintly remembered that one time when he and Shang Junlin went out of the palace, they met a few teenagers who were going to take the exam. This student was one of them. Feeling the low pressure from the people around him, Shan Yu declined the invitation. The young student felt regretful, but he didn't insist. He cupped his hands and said, In that case, we will meet again next time. Shan Yu pulled Shang Junlin and continued to walk forward. As they walked, he said, "Your Majesty, were you angry just now?" "I'm not." Shan Yu stopped, and Shang Junlin also stopped. Shan Yu turned to look at Shang Junlin. The man's face was calm. He really didn't look angry, but Shan Yu didn't forget that when the student came over to talk, the man's arm on his waist suddenly tightened. "Since your Majesty isn't angry, let's go back and meet with them. It's fate that we met." Shan Yu turned around and walked back. His wrist was pulled. Shan Yu raised his eyebrows. "Your Majesty?" "I won't allow it." Shang Junlin pursed his lips. "Whatever you wants to do, I will accompany you." Shan Yu was just teasing him. He didn't really intend to go back. Hearing this, he stopped walking. "So, anything is okay?" "Anything is okay." Shan Yu nodded. He held Shang Junlin's hand and continued to walk forward. The last time he came back, Shan Yu didn't have the chance to walk around this place because he was induced to fall ill. This time, since he was here, he must walk around to his heart's content. "Is that the place where the polo match is held?" Shan Yu pointed to a place. The terrain there was flat. The horses were walking around leisurely. The people standing at the side were wearing clothes of 2 different colors. They whispered a few words from time to time. "Yes, the match will start tomorrow morning," Shang Junlin replied. "Are we going to stay here for a night?" "Your Majesty, what about tomorrow's morning court?" "Tomorrow is a break. There's no need to go to court." Since Shang Junlin had dealt with these problems, Shan Yu didn't need to worry anymore. After walking for half a day, Shan Yu was a little tired. There was still some distance to walk back. Shan Yu looked at the sky and pulled Shang Junlin's sleeve. The man stopped. "What's wrong?" "I'm so tired, Your Majesty." "Let me carry you back." Shang Junlin stretched out his hand. Shan Yu hurriedly reached out to stop him. "It's such a long way." "Isn't Your Majesty tired?" "How can I be tired carrying you?" Shang Junlin's tone was calm. Shan Yu observed for a while and found that after walking for so long, Shang Junlin's expression was exactly the same as before. There was also no change in his breathing. Unlike him, his breathing was already unstable. "Are you worried that I will be tired?" Shang Junlin's tone had a hint of a smile. "Even if I carry you and walk for a whole day, I won't be tired." Shan Yu subconsciously wanted to refute, but when she thought of a certain person's abnormal stamina, she silently closed her mouth. Shang Junlin didn't allow any explanation and carried Shan Yu by her waist. He weighed her and said in a teasing tone, "You can eat more. You're weightless in my arms." Shang Junlin carried her and walked very steadily. The time it took to return was much shorter than before. Shan Yu nestled in the man's arms and chatted with him. Towards the end, her voice became softer and softer, almost falling asleep. When Eunuch Meng saw Shang Junlin carrying Shan Yu back, he thought that something had happened. He hurriedly went forward. "Your Majesty Guijun," he. Shan Yu was awakened by the movement. She opened her eyes in a daze. "Your Majesty, have we arrived?" "We've arrived." "Put me down." Shan Yu struggled to get down. "Don't move." Shang Junlin's arms were very steady. Shan Yu struggled for a long time but couldn't get herself out. She had to give up. The palace servants had already prepared dinner. Shan Yu washed her face with water and felt much more awake. Sitting next to Shang Junlin, Shan Yu massaged the man's arms. "Your Majesty, are your arms sore?" The young man lowered his eyebrows and looked serious. Under the sunset, his body seemed to be covered in a layer of gold. Shang Junlin was about to say something when he paused. "A little." "Your Majesty, you insist on being brave." Shan Yu complained, but her hands didn't stop moving. Shang Junlin looked at him for a while, and the ink in his eyes became thicker. "Your Majesty, what are you doing?" "Oh." Shan Yu's lips were kissed fiercely, and the rest of her words were blocked. She was forced to raise her chin, her lips and teeth were pried open, and she was forced to endure the storm. The next morning, Shan Yu woke up early. After tidying up, she and Shang Junlin went to the venue of the polo match. There were many people who came to watch the polo match. When Shen Yu and Shang Junlin arrived, there was already a circle of people around them. Eunuch Meng had greeted them in advance. When he saw the two of them, one of the people in charge came forward. "Please come here." They were arranged to a place with an excellent view. There were small tables with all kinds of snacks and tea. It was specially prepared for people with special identities. They came at the right time. Not long after, the match officially began. There were ordinary people on the field, as well as the children of officials. The spectators were also the same. The atmosphere in the stadium was very enthusiastic. Shen Yu originally thought that he wouldn't have much interest, but when he really saw it, he couldn't help but immerse himself in watching the match. Those who can participate in this match have gone through many rounds of selection. Shang Junlin explained to Shen Yu, "I never knew that watching others play polo would give me such a feeling." It was as if the blood in his whole body was boiling. Shen Yu didn't find it strange that polo was so popular in Dahuan. Compared to the past, it has declined. The person sitting next to him suddenly said, "What do you mean?" Shen Yu was curious. "Gongzi, this should be your first time to watch the game. It's normal that you don't know. 20 or 30 years ago, polo games were generally hosted by the imperial family. There was a special venue for the game. If you win the game, you will be rewarded by the imperial family. Compared to the present, people at that time yearned for it." The person who spoke was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He was slightly plump. As he spoke, he took something from his neck and touched it carefully. Then, he handed it to Shen Yu. This was awarded by the imperial family. At that time, it was a pendant made of gold. It was carved with the charm of a person riding on a horse and swinging the ball. It was vivid and lifelike. "Did you win this, sir?" "I don't deserve to be called sir." The man put away the pendant. "My surname is Ing. This was won by my elder brother. Later, my elder brother passed away. Before he died, he gave it to me. He hoped that one day, this game could return to the way it used to be." The man didn't stay for long. He was called away halfway. Shan Yu looked at the field and pondered. "Your Majesty, do you know what happened?" Shan Yu didn't know about this before. He didn't know what happened in the middle. "I know a little. The late emperor, before his temperament changed, a large-scale polo game was held in the capital every year. During the last game, I don't know who angered him. Under the atmosphere, the late emperor punished many people. Since that year, the game was cancelled. Later, the late emperor's behavior became more and more ridiculous. This matter was never followed up. Shang Junlin didn't know much about this. When it happened, he was still very young. Later, no one mentioned it. Naturally, this matter was left unsettled. After watching the game, Shan Yu faintly had an idea. Before he implemented it, he must first figure out what happened before. Was the previous polo game in Dahuan organized by the imperial family? Shan Yu asked on the way back to the palace. It has always been this tradition until the late emperor's incident. Shen Yu leaned against the wall of the carriage. He thought of the scene when he was watching the polo game and rubbed his forehead. "What does a Yu want to do?" "Your Majesty, what do you think about returning the polo game to the way it used to be?" "A Yu wants the imperial family to take over the game again." "Yes. If a Yu wants to, I naturally won't object." It wasn't a big deal. Shan Yu could do whatever he wanted. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.